starts with you. Facts still matter. It starts with you.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. We're moving through March 23rd. Baseball season starts this week, if you can believe it, as I had to dig out from another 8 inches overnight the night before last. But anyway, it's not about me. We're glad you're here. We know you got many choices to make every single day, and we're super grateful that you choose to spend some time with us. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know the drill. Join our team. Tapping is clapping, liking is loving, sharing is caring. Gifting goal today, that helps us get and stay to the FYP. I did an interesting experiment yesterday. I did a video about gas prices, which we'll talk about. I got like 1,000 views. I did a video yesterday of a Gravy Seal wanting to bring his axe to the war in Iran, and it's approaching 50,000 views. So it's a weird thing, but anyway, anything that you all can do to help us get to the FYP and stay on the FYP be much appreciated. We are still raising funds for the Do Something tour. We're just $74 shy of 8K to help us move towards 25K for our Do Something tour. Information regarding the Do Something tour, you can find that in the link tree that's in my bio under the Instagram page and or by joining our Discord. Speaking of Discord, please consider joining there. We just ask that you go through the verification steps. Also, check out the new items in the merch store, including A, B, C, D, E, F, fuck ice. Lots of information or lots of items that would be available to you, would be interesting for you to perhaps wear if you're going to protests. Can't guarantee you're going to get a delivery by this weekend, but you never know. You can check it out. Anyway, I thank you all for being here. Really, really appreciate you guys. Is there anything else I wanted to mention? I think that's good. Welcome to the show. Programming note. Have to end a little bit early today, just a little bit before 11 o'clock due to some capitalism, but we'll be here all week. No show on Friday as I'll be traveling, but we all appreciate you guys being here, and thank you for your support of us, and welcome to the show. All right, so we've got a lot to cover today. Obviously, we're going to address the death of Robert Mueller and how interesting it is that apparently when there's a prominent figure who passes away who may not necessarily be a fan of the president, then all bets are off as to who can criticize, right? But first, I want to start with this is relatively breaking news. And there's a reason why. So we have a little sounder for this. So just a little while ago, about 7:05 this morning, the president on Truth Social decided that he was going to update all of us on the situation in Iran. And what I find really, really interesting is this is something that he did in all caps, okay?
Okay. I am pleased. He said please minus the D. It should be I am pleased to report. But anyway, this is what I said. I am pleased to report that the United States of America, again, this is in all caps, I am pleased to report that the United States of America and the country of Iran have had, over the last 2 days, very good and productive conversations regarding a complete and total resolution of our hostilities in the Middle East. Based on the tenor and tone of these in-depth, detailed, and constructive conversations, which...
And I shit you not, he spelled which, W-I-T-C-H. I shit you not.
Based on the tenor and tone of these in-depth, detailed, and constructive conversations, which, I'll get you, my pretty, will continue throughout the week, I have instructed the Department of War to postpone any and all military strikes against Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure for a 5-day period, subject to the success of the ongoing meetings and discussions. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT.
So I am pleased. It would be pleased. I am pleased to report. And again, I shit you not. Detailed and constructive conversations, which W-I-T-C-H. Somebody needs to take Peepaw's phone away from him. There's a reason this happened. Before I get to that, though, I want to make sure that we're honoring our daily endeavors here as we celebrate women of history. Today, as in honor of Women's History Month, today we're going to discuss Noor Inayat Khan, Noor Unisa Inayat Khan, or Nora Inayat Khan, or Nora Baker, was a British special agent in France during the Second World War who served in the Special Operations Executive, SOE, The purpose of the SOE was to conduct espionage, sabotage, and reconnaissance in countries occupied by the Axis powers, especially those occupied in Nazi Germany. As an SOE agent under the codename Madeline, she became the first female wireless operator to be sent from the UK into occupied France to aid the French resistance during the war. Inayat Khan was betrayed, captured, and sadly executed at Dachau. She was posthumously awarded the George Cross for her service, the highest civilian decoration for gallantry in the United Kingdom. Noor Inayat Khan, as we celebrate Women's History Month. So yes, the President of the United States basically tacoing. Now, there's a reason. Okay, there is a specific reason why this happened. So let's go back in time just a little bit. Over the weekend, this was on Saturday, the president on True Social said this.
If Iran doesn't fully open without threat the Strait of Hormuz within 48 hours from this exact point in time, the United States of America will obliterate their various power plants, starting with the biggest one first. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT.
To which Iran said, okay, homie. Spokesman for Iran's Khatam al-Adbiyan central headquarters, quote, everything is prepared for the complete destruction of all U.S. economic interests in West Asia. The terrorist president of the United States has continued his aggressive and destabilizing behavior, threatening that if Iran does not reopen the strait, he will target Iran's power plants. We have repeatedly stated that the Strait of Hormuz is only restricted to hostile and harmful traffic. It has not been fully closed and remains under our intelligence control. Harmless passage continues under specific regulations that ensure our security and interests. However, if U.S. threats against Iran's power plants are carried out, the following punitive measures will be implemented immediately. The Strait of Hormuz will be fully closed and will not reopen until our damaged power plants are restored. All power plants, energy infrastructure, and information and communications technology, or ICT, of the Zionist regime will be widely targeted. All similar companies in the region with U.S. shareholders will be completely destroyed. Power plants in regional countries hosting U.S. bases will become legitimate targets. Everything is ready for a major jihad aimed at total destruction of U.S. economic interests in West Asia. We did not start this war and will not initiate it now. But if the enemy harms our power plants, we will do whatever is necessary to defend our country and national interests. The uninterrupted process of destroying the mentioned targets will begin, and nothing will stop the continuation of our operations against the U.S. and allied energy, oil, and industrial infrastructure in the region. So, it is not a coincidence that the president tacoed out, because gas prices sit this morning at $3.96 a gallon, and they continue to go up. Iran has called the United States' bluff, and our president has backed down. Now, there's a long way to go with this, but obviously the president has said that, I'm gonna cease fire. Well, the Iranian government has responded, because they have said, this came out 3 hours ago, Iran denied that it had called on the United States and the I country to cease fire as the war in the Middle East continued to spread both death and destruction. The president claimed on NBC that Iran had wanted to make a deal to end the U.S.-Israeli assault, but that he had refused to negotiate because, quote, the terms are not good enough yet. He did not specify what those terms should be, but he did say that Iran must commit to abandoning its nuclear ambitions, which the two countries were already discussing in high-level talks before the U.S. and Israel launched their surprise attack on the 28th of February. Iran's response has been to launch drone and missile strikes on Israeli and Persian Gulf states that host U.S. forces or are otherwise allied with Washington, while also blocking ships from sailing through the Strait of Hormuz, halting the flow of fossil fuels and global trade. At the weekend, Trump called on Britain, France, China, and other nations to help reopen the strategic waterway. He claimed yesterday that several countries had committed to do so, but he has yet to name them, and none of them have made that statement at all. Just another lie. The U.S. president also said that his country's force may bomb Karg Island, where Iran's most important oil export facilities are located. Again, quote, just for fun, after the U.S. targeted military installations there on Friday. Yeah, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Agashi told CBS, quote, no, we have never asked for a ceasefire, and we have never asked for even for negotiations. We are ready to defend ourselves as long as it takes. There are people being unalived only because President Trump wants to have fun. In Iran, more than 1,300 people have been killed so far, according to the International Committee for the Red Cross. The health ministry says 223 women and 202 children are among the dead. Meanwhile, Israel said it continued to strike Iran yesterday as Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE told residents that authorities were working to intercept incoming projectiles. 12 people have been unalived by Iranian missiles, and more have been injured, including 3 yesterday. At least 820 people have been killed in Lebanon, according to the health ministry, and 850,000 have been displaced since Israel began bombing its northern neighbor again, ostensibly to combat the Iran-backed Hezbollah. In central Beirut, displaced families fixed tents battered by wind and rain yesterday. Fadi Yunus, displaced from Beirut's southern suburbs, told reporters that his mattresses and blankets were soaked. We don't know where this will end. A person only truly feels at ease in their own home. In the southern suburb of Harek, there was scarcely anyone in sight when crews arrived to clear the streets of rubble. The important thing is that the roads remain open for hospitals and for people. Excavator driver Hakim Fadala said, in just 10 days, more than 800,000 people, nearly 1 in 7 residents of Lebanon, have been displaced over just over a year since the last conflict uprooted over 1 million Lebanese from their homes. So all that winning. Yeah, again, the president tacoed out. The whole situation with him, that statement that he made about just having fun, I've got some sound on that I want to play for you because it's pretty fucking bad. Well, the entire thing is bad. But I just want to play this because it's just so stark in the way in which he describes it. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing, please. And just remember, if you're just joining us, the president has announced through True Social that there's going to be a pause. Ironically enough, he said over the weekend initially that there was not going to be a ceasefire because the job wasn't done. But he said this on Friday. Lawrence O'Donnell's reporting on it.
Has ever claimed to drop bombs just for fun. That would, of course, brand that president as a sociopath. And so, of course, Donald Trump said exactly that. On Saturday, in a telephone interview with NBC News, Donald Trump said that he might continue to bomb an oil facility on Karg Island in Iran, quote, just for fun. That phrase will live in infamy with Donald Trump's name for hundreds of years, as historians are able to isolate those words, just for fun, as the conclusive proof they will need to make the case that Donald Trump is a sociopath, that Donald Trump was a mad bomber in every sense. Every historian will be able to see that he was a madman who thought bombing was fun.
So there's that. Okay. So there's rumblings apparently about J.D. Vance being asked by a lot of conservative leaders outside of politics for him to initiate the 25th Amendment. We have reached that. Well, in my opinion, we've been past that point for a very long time. But the president of the United States approaching the loss of innocent life as just for fun. And of course, we can't ever convince our friends in MAGA circles on this just despicable trends because they still support them. And we know this because there's a lot of churn and burn over this polling. And I've got a lot of things to cover today, so I'll bounce around a little bit, but I'm going to get back to the topic at hand. But I think it's important because, again, the president saying just for fun or completely tacoing out as gas prices are crippling us, and he knows. We're going to get into what the importance of the Strait of Hormuz. I've heard a lot of people talk about it, but I thought I did a little bit of research into it because I just thought we should really understand what it is and why it's so pivotal. Of course, we know initially why it's so pivotal, but the impact that his little just for fun games is going to have for years to come is pretty significant. So just to level set first, Harry Enton, who is CNN's pollster. He's like CNN's version of Steve Kornacki in a little way, a little bit. But he had this poll that came out over the weekend that, of course, has caught the president's attention. Remember, this poll is on CNN. Okay.
Yeah, you know, sometimes you look at the polling data and there are numbers that just jump off the screen at you, and this is one of those. Because just take a look here. MAGA GOP view of Trump. Approve 100%. 100%. If you are a member of MAGA and the GOP, you approve of Donald John Trump. Zero.
Okay, so again, this was a let's see. It was people who are asked if they were MAGA as to whether or not they supported the president, and 100% said they did. Now, keep in mind, this poll is done by CNN. Okay, so the president, of course, did not want to miss an opportunity to discuss the fact that it was a poll that found him being supported to the tune of 100%. Well, this is interesting though, because I want you to hear what he said about CNN.
Support because CNN came out with a poll today that I'm at 100%, and they said they've never seen a poll like that. The CNN poll said I'm at 100%, and they've never seen that before, which is an honor.
Which is an honor. Interesting. So there's been no news agency that I can recall that has been more in his crosshairs than CNN. Now, the poll comes out, the CNN poll, when they polled MAGA, and the poll said, MAGA says that we love you, 100%. And now apparently it's an honor. So here's that sound again.
Because CNN came out with a poll today that I'm at 100%, and they said they've never seen a poll like that. The CNN poll said I'm at 100%, and they've never seen that before, which is an honor.
Chance to ask a question. Since you're attacking us, can you give us a question?
And then this is a little compilation of some of the things that he has said about CNN journalists.
No, Mr. President-elect.
Go ahead.
Mr. President-elect, since you are attacking our news organization, can you give us a chance?
Your organization
You are
is
attacking
terrible.
our news organization.
Your organization
Can you give us a
is
chance
terrible.
to ask a question, sir?
Go ahead.
Sir, can
Quiet.
you state,
Quiet.
Mr. President-elect,
Go ahead.
can you state
She's asking
categorically,
a question.
Mr.
Don't be rude.
President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be
You're
rude.
attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
Can you
No,
give
I'm
us
not
a
going to give you a
question?
question. I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir,
Go ahead.
can you state categorically that nobody... No, Mr. President-elect, that's not
Go ahead.
appropriate.
Please, go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, fake news, CNN?
Today we're discussing 5 reasons that CNN is fake news.
John Roberts, go ahead, John. No. John Roberts, go ahead. CNN's fake news.
Let's hear the question from this very low-rated anchor at CB.
No, you please. I'm not talking to you. I don't talk to CNN. It's fake news.
Got it.
CNN is fake news. I don't take questions from CNN. John Roberts of Fox.
Got it.
Do you feel a responsibility as president to bring the nation together?
I do, and I think I am in a certain way bringing it together. I can tell you that a big portion of this nation is united like it's never been united before. I think I am bringing it together. I think I'm bringing it together.
Not by talking about John McCain.
I just said, you brought up a question, Maria. I didn't bring it up. I didn't mention John McCain until you asked me a question about John McCain. Now, I could say I have no comment, but that's not me. But you shouldn't have brought it up. Actually, I thought you weren't supposed to bring it up, but that's okay. You know, fake news.
It's not fake news. You just told me why you have an issue with him. It's real news.
Despite what you hear, look at all of them up there. Scott, look at all of that fake news. It's unbelievable. Unfortunately, Fox has become fake news too. I don't know what happens to these people, right?
So, in other words, even CNN, if there is a glazing exercise that the president gets the micro mushroom stroked with a 100% approval rating in a MAGA poll, then all of a sudden CNN is fine. So remember, when you're out in the streets, right? When you go to right-wing spaces, if you choose to, I go there so you don't have to. You're welcome, although not as much as I used to. You're talking so eloquent, but I'm trying to understand why you have black nail polish. Julia, it's not black, it's blue. But you can come up and ask a question if you'd like. But anyway, thanks for asking. Thanks for noticing. I appreciate that. You should see the toes. Anyway, when you hear our friends on the right, when you hear our friends on the right talking about fake news, just remind them of this, that the president was honored to receive a poll from CNN that said he was 100%. So there's that. And then that relates to a few other things that we really need to pay attention to. I want to remind folks, I've talked about this a lot, about my concern about the future of the press. I'm going to play some sound now from Eliza Orlins. She's an attorney and she's great. And this is about a recent decision by the courts regarding media and consolidation. You think it's bad now? Well, buckle up.
This is fucking terrifying. The FCC decision is out and they just let one corporation take control of 80% of your local TV news, and that corporation is already firing the journalists who report it. I'm Eliza Orlins, career public defender for 15 years in Manhattan, and you need to understand what just happened. So the President of the United States publicly pressured a regulatory agency to approve a corporate merger, and Brendan Carr did exactly as he was told. So here's what this means. Nexstar, which is already the biggest local TV station owner in America, is now absorbing Tegna, 64 more stations, which is going to give one company control of 265 stations, reaching 80% of U.S. households. The FCC's own ownership cap says 39% is the max. But they just blew past it because Trump told them to.
Yes, it's true. I'm not a KTLA anymore. I will not be returning to the job I held every day for 11 years. I was blindsided, and it hurts. It cuts deep because I cared about what I did. I was getting ready to celebrate a milestone birthday, and instead I'm now processing what I'm going to do as a single mom to 2 kids.
That's Alina Abovian. She was a reporter at KTLA for 11 years. Nexstar fired her just before her 40th birthday while she's a single mom of 2 kids, and they did it to cut costs for this exact merger. 5 veteran journalists at KTLA alone, gone, more at WGN. This is what media consolidation actually looks like. It's not abstract. It's real people losing real jobs in your local newsroom, and you're paying for it too. When one company has this much leverage over your cable and satellite providers, your bill goes up. That's how monopoly power works. So the next time this administration tells you they care about affordability, remember, they just handed one corporation a monopoly over your local news and made you foot the bill. But actually, the money is almost the least of it. When one company controls this many local newsrooms, they decide what stories get told and what gets buried. They decide which reporters get to keep their jobs and which ones get cut to pay for the deal. And look what's already happening. Just last weekend, Brendan Carr threatened to pull broadcast licenses from stations whose coverage of the war in Iran he doesn't like. He said broadcasters will lose their licenses if they don't fall in line. And Trump backed him up. So now ask yourself, what happens when the company that controls 80% of your local TV stations knows the guy who just approved their merger is also the guy who decides whether they keep their licenses? You think they're going to run stories that make this administration look bad? Local news is how most Americans get their information about their schools, their courts, and their elections. And we just handed all of that to one corporation, while the head of the FCC is out here telling broadcasters he'll destroy them if they report the news in ways he doesn't like. That is what a monopoly over information looks like, and the FCC just rubber stamped it. Make sure you're following for more.
By the way, mad crush on Eliza Orlins. I'm just going to say that right now. Anyway, so when we talk about my concern, we should all be concerned about the future of the press. Here's an example of manipulation by a radical religious extremist who pose an imminent threat. This group of people who are literally creating a network of fake news. Oh, and by the way, friends, guess what? Do you know the post that I read to you earlier that was in all caps from the president basically tacoing out when he misspelled please, when he said I am pleased instead of pleased, and when he spelled witch, W-I-T-C-H? Guess what? They took it down and then they put it back up with the spelling corrected because Donald Trump is a pussy ass bitch. I shit you not. Yeah, so now it says I am pleased to report in detailed and constructive conversations, which W-H-I-C-H. Our president is a pussy ass bitch. President Trump, J.D. Vance, you feckless coward. Mike Johnson, Tom Homan, Christy, no, not anymore because she's been shuffled off to Buffalo. Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Todd Blanche, John Ratcliffe, whoever else. I'm Steve. Factsstillmatter go live every day right here. Also streaming on YouTube and Twitch. Please subscribe. Fuck all y'all. You pussy ass bitches. Fuck all y'all. Anyway. So That is beyond dangerous, friends. That there's this, the FCC has rubber stamped this massive conglomeration of media entities. And the FCC chairperson threatening to remove licenses because the president is like the way it's covered. And you know what? Again, our friends on the right don't care. Do not care. So the president can go out there and taco his fucking ass, make these threats over and over again, saber rattle, I'm going to destroy your energy infrastructure. And Iran's like, go ahead, bitch, hold my beer. Iran has just recently come out and said this. Thank you to my amazing mod team. There are no talks underway, apparently, between Tehran and Washington, according to Iran. There are no talks. Iran's foreign ministry said, rejecting remarks by the president, semi-official Mehr news agency reported. The ministry said Trump's comments were part of an effort to lower energy prices and buy time for his military plans. It said there have been initiatives by regional countries to reduce tensions, but added that Iran's response to all of them was clear. We are not the party that started this war, and these requests should be referred to Washington. Also, they said the Iran's IRGC-affiliated Tasman news agency said on Monday that there were no negotiations with the U.S. and that conditions in the Strait would not return to pre-war levels. No negotiations have taken place and none are underway, a senior security official told Tasnim. The officials said that Iran told intermediaries that it would continue defending itself, quote, until the necessary level of deterrence is achieved. Trump had earlier said Washington and Tehran had very good and productive conversations and announced a 5-day postponement of strikes on Iranian energy infrastructure. So again, the president
says this. I am pleased. I had somebody fix it because I couldn't spell shit. To report that the U.S. and America, or the United States of America and the country of Iran, have had over the last 2 days very good and productive conversations regarding a complete and total resolution of our hostilities in the Middle East based on the tenor and tone of this in-depth, detailed, and constructive conversation, which somebody had to fix it because I spelled it wit. Will continue throughout the week. I have instructed the Department of War to postpone any and all military strikes against Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure for a 5-day period, subject to the success of the ongoing meetings and discussions.
So Iran said, no, that didn't happen. The price of gas is now at $3.95 a gallon and only going to go up. But don't worry. We have a ballroom. Oh yeah, remember, don't worry. I forgot to mention this again. Don't forget we have this. I don't want you to worry because we've got the commemorative coins that are being minted. Don't want you to worry about that. It's all good. Don't want you to worry. Oh, and by the way, don't worry because not only are these going to be minted, but we're also going to mint some in 24 karat gold. Nothing to see here. Oh yeah, and by the way, this was my view yesterday. Lovely. I'm so fucking done. So there's that. But don't worry again, because we have radical religious extremists who pose an imminent threat, and they are inside our government. Totally fine, though. Totally fine. So we have a consolidation of media so that the fake news can spread like wildfire. The president is now excited and honored that CNN awarded him with a 100% poll, which means fucking nothing, by the way. It's MAGA, okay? But meanwhile, we've got, gas prices spiking. You wait until we get the inflation numbers for March that will come out in April. I'm sure there'll be some justification for, for whatever. Somebody kicked the plug out of the wall or whatever. But again, I don't want you guys to worry though, because, the MAGA experts out there are talking about how there's nothing to see here. This was just a couple days ago.
Prices, people just need to stop panicking. It's worth it to prevent Iran from having a nuclear weapon. So if I have to pay a little bit more for gas, I'll do that.
You got to pay the price. I mean, in order to have long-term stability.
The disruptions in the global markets are real and may be painful. but the long-term benefits, again, are incalculable.
There may be some sacrifices to be made at the pump on a temporary basis. I'm willing to pay 30% or 30 cents more at the pump to make sure that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon.
To win in life, you got to suffer short-term pain for the long-term gain, or short-term pain for long-term gain.
Freedom is not free. Americans are going to have to make some sacrifices.
This is short term, and I'm asking you to just trust the man, okay? Trust the system. Let him.
Just trust him, guys. It's totally fine. Just trust him. Just trust him. It's good. Okay, so the Strait of Hormuz. First of all, why do we talk about it? So I think you guys have probably seen. I'm sure you know what it looks like, but just a real quick. So this is what we're talking about. We talk about the Strait of Hormuz. I just wanted to kind of give you my little sort of breakdown as to what it is. So most of you know, it's a narrow waterway in the Middle East that connects the Persian Gulf to the Gulf of Oman. Okay, you can see it here, right? It's bordered on the north by Iran and by the south by the UAE. So this is Iran up here. This is the UAE. The UAE, or the United Arab Emirates, it's a collection of countries. It's not just one country. It's a collection of countries. Its narrowest point is only about 20 to 25 miles wide, with actual shipping lanes even tighter. It's the world's most crucial oil choke point. Roughly 20% of the world's oil supply passes through it every day. Oil from countries like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, the UAE. If the strait is disrupted, global oil prices spike immediately, which of course we've already seen. Remember, just real quick, gas prices are $3.96 a gallon today. $3.94 yesterday, $3.71 a week ago, $2.93 a month ago, and $3.12 a year ago. Diesel prices now sit at $5.28 a gallon. It was $3.59 a year ago. Okay? Just letting you know. We have control of the strait? Who says that? Who said that? Did somebody just say that we have control of the strait? That's freaking hilarious. Okay. There is no easy alternative route. Most of that oil can't be rerouted easily. Pipelines exist, but they don't have enough capacity to replace tanker traffic. Iran has repeatedly threatened to block or control the strait, which they are now. Don't forget, Pete Hegseth said, hey, the strait would be open if Iran wasn't bombing shit. That's fucking cool. Wow. The U.S. Navy and allies patrol the area to keep it open as best they can. Tensions like the current Iran-related conflict often center here. Even small disruptions have a global impact. Attacks on oil tankers, naval standoffs, mining threats, they can instantly affect gas prices in the U.S., global markets, supply chains worldwide. It's a narrow valve. Look at it this way. It's like a narrow valve that controls the world's energy supply. Kind of the best way to kind of describe it. Any escalation could disrupt shipping, trigger military conflicts, cause the price of oil to surge. The problem is there's history in this part of the world, because again, the leverage that Iran has, they've been using mines, they've been using drones, they're already taking out ships. This is not going to just stop tomorrow. I want to make something very, very clear. The statement that the president said by saying, we're going to pause, we're not going to, again, he's saber rattled. Unless Iran opens the strait within 48 hours, that 48 hours would be like right now. Like his statement came out Saturday morning, so 48 hours would be right now. And they're not going to honor it. They're like, no, this is our fucking leverage. No way. And the president said, if you don't, we're going to take out your processing facilities. And Iran says, if you do that, we are going to decapitate the West. We're going to decapitate the people who need oil that comes from the Gulf. And our president blinked. Okay? There's a history. Iran doesn't need to block it physically. It just needs to make it too dangerous to travel. Naval mines, missiles from the coast, fast attack boats, drone swarms, seizing or harassing tankers. Yes. So what would happen next? Insurance companies would then halt their tanker coverage. That's already started to happen. Shipping companies stop entering the strait. Oil supply drops instantly. Days, weeks. We're now at 3 weeks. I saw a video that Mr. Global did. 3 weeks is the window. 3 weeks, you bought a little bit of time because you opened up the SPR. You bought a little bit of time here and there because you might have increased your purchase from someplace else. And don't forget, the United States, right? Part of their foreign policy towards Iran was that Iran being the biggest sponsor of state-funded terrorism. So part of the sanctions that we imposed against Iran limited their access. We also put sanctions on Russia because we know that Russia needs to sell oil to prop up its military. So we find out that Russia becomes a state sponsor. Iranian oil becomes a state sponsor of terrorism. They use their money to fund their terrorism, allegedly. So what do we fucking do? What do we do? We remove the sanctions when we're at war with them. Think about that. You cut the head off the snake. We're told that Iranian money is used by selling oil. The Iranian government uses that money to fund terrorism. So what happens when we are now at war with them? We allow them to sell oil. We allow them to sell oil in the midst of a war that we have with them. There's a famous quote over the weekend that Scott Bessent put out. He said, in essence, we will be using the Iranian barrels against Tehran to keep the price down as we continue Operation Epic Fury. Make it make sense. So we're going to allow the sale of 140 million barrels of Iranian oil and then use the Iranian barrels against Tehran to keep the price down? How the fuck, in what fucking world do we live in when they can say that kind of shit? Are you kidding me? Like, nothing to see here. Right? Okay, that's fine. Mine clearing operations are slow and dangerous. Naval escorts for tankers, airstrikes on Iranian missile sites. This is the dangerous part when it escalates. If it gets beyond a few weeks into a couple of months. Attacks on Gulf oil infrastructure, targeted U.S. bases and allies. Regional war will increase because people need black gold, Texas tea. It's not going to happen overnight. So here we sit. Here we sit. I mean, my goodness, this goes back years. This because that land is so pivotal, because that strait is so pivotal. During the 1981 to 1988 tanker war, Iran and Iraq attacked oil tankers. 400 to 500 ships were hit. 100 were seriously damaged. It choked each other's oil exports. In 1988, there was a major escalation. Operation Praying Mantis. U.S. destroys Iranian naval vessels after mine attacks. U.S. accidentally shoots down a civilian airliner. 290 killed accidentally. Okay. Early 2000s to the early 2010s. Tensions, but fewer direct attacks. Close encounters between U.S. and Iranian ships. Occasional accidents and standoffs. The strait remains open but tense. From 2015 to 2021, Iran seizes containers, the Maersk, the Tigris. In 2019, the tanker attacks using mines and explosives are near the strait. Also in 2021, Iran seizes South Korean tanker. And then 2022 to 2025, brinksmanship increases, repeated tanker seizures. Iran threatens closure over sanctions, and intelligence reports Iran preparing naval mines. So here we sit, right? Here we sit. The threat was real. Iran said, sure, if you do that, then we're going to retaliate. And they hold the leverage. So what does our president do? Tacos. Says the Department of War is going to stop all our operations. He told the world that today would be the day that if Iran did not open the strait, which they haven't, that he would take out their energy infrastructure. And Iran responded and said, go ahead. If you do that, we're going to cripple the West. Period. No allies are coming to our aid. The United States is literally on its own in the I country. Well, that's a different conversation. So, yep. So here we sit as your gas prices are spiking. For what? Just for fun? For what? Seriously, like for what? Why are we here? For what? Okay. Just want to make sure we're all on the same page. So, I mean, I don't even. It's hard to even describe it anymore. So this is the president being interviewed by Brian Kilmeade. He's in spin control. The question was about Russia, because Russia is certainly involved. Russian oil is now going to be, we're releasing sanctions on Russian oil as well. Why would we be doing that? Oh, I don't know. To help Russia?
You think Putin is helping them?
I think he might be helping them a little bit. Yeah, I guess. And he probably thinks we're helping Ukraine, right?
And you are, right?
Yeah, we're helping them also. And so he says that, and China would say the same thing. You know, it's like, hey, they do it and we do it, in all fairness.
They do it and we do it, in all fairness. Jess, to answer your question, no, I did not, because I wasn't sure about this week. Inside baseball. So the president basically acknowledging that Russia's helping them, and that's when they might be. I guess that's okay. Nothing to see here. It's totally fine. Yeah, it's great. So just real quick, before we get into some other things on the show today, I want to talk about how the president refers to this as the golden age. And you guys can tell me if you think this is the golden age.
I call it the golden age of America. I believe this will be the golden age of America.
92,000 jobs were lost. That raised the overall unemployment rate to 4.4%.
The golden age of America, it's coming now. You feel it now.
More bad economic news. GDP growth came in far below expectations.
It really is a golden age, just right around the corner. Crude oil is up more than 40% since the war began, pushing gas prices higher.
We are on the cusp of the greatest economic year in the history of the...
I'm really not happy about this inflation report. This does not look good to me.
This administration is really supercharging the economy.
Gas prices hit the highest level under Donald Trump's presidency.
You've seen nothing yet. We're going to do better and better and better. This is the goal.
If you could say something to President Trump and he was going to hear you right now, what would it be?
You are a worthless pile of
Uh-oh, that's not good. That's rough. So, you know, once again, I was told that if I voted for Kamala Harris, we would have economic crisis, we would have gas prices spiking, we would have job losses, we would have spiking unemployment, we would have all kinds of crime in our streets, we would have an overreach of government, and we'd be at war with Iran. Well, I voted for Kamala Harris, and she didn't win, but all this shit has happened. So there's that. Okay, nothing to see here.
Well,
so this is Joni Ernst. Joni Ernst is a senator from Iowa. Joni Ernst, I believe, has said that she is not running for re-election. Joni Ernst is also the person that said, well, we all die. Keep that in mind. So she's going to be asked a question about troops on the ground. And I would like you to hear how she answers this question.
Wall Street Journal reports that the Pentagon is sending 3 warships and thousands of additional Marines to the Middle East. Now, the president says he doesn't want boots on the ground in Iran, so what are these Marines doing there?
Well,
oh, did you hear the little chuckle? Did you catch that? Did you hear that little chuckle?
Reports that the Pentagon is sending 3 warships and thousands of additional Marines to the Middle East. Now, the president says he doesn't want boots on the ground in Iran, so what are these Marines doing there?
Well, they provide a lot of leverage, Stuart, and I just love the president when he keeps the reporters on their toes. We shouldn't be telling people what we are going to do and when we are going to do it, but believe me, President Donald J. Trump has the best interests of the United States at heart, but he also loves our men and women in uniform. He will not engage them unnecessarily. I know that to be true. So this is why it's so important that we do have partner nations stepping up, whether it's to assist in the Strait of Hormuz or whether it's to help stabilize in the Middle East. But President Trump is very good about this. He's going to use what leverage he has, and we all will be so much better for it, Stuart.
I'm going to change the subject, Sam.
We're going to be better for it? How are we going to be better for it, Joni? You laughed when he asked you the question about troops being deployed. You laughed. Okay. It's Joni Ernst, senator from Iowa. So instead of facing your maker, your voters, you decide to run. How Trump's post is dated for 23 p.m. I don't know what to talk about. Okay. Good morning, Eris. How are you today?
Hello. Good morning. You missed a Freudian slip.
Did I
When that
Freudian
senator
slip?
was just talking, she said that Trump will use the leverage that he has.
Right, exactly.
Oh
yeah, you're right.
God. He's definitely going to lose it. We're done. Game over.
If he hasn't lost it already. Well, he's losing it. That's
exactly.
For sure.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to say was I caught that and I'm like, oh my God.
Thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate you. Have a good day. Be safe out there. That's a really great point. Okay, so I've got some sound from James Comer because he did the rounds yesterday. Thank you, Mods. I had this too. He's doing the rounds. Again, we're talking about the statement the president made about how, we're gonna threaten. Iran's gonna do exactly what we told him. Iran's like, no, we're fucking not, because you guys are the ones that started this war. So Comer's out doing the rounds. Actually, this is this morning from just a little while ago, like 10 minutes ago. Here you go.
Now, the president this morning said that talks are going well and that he's directed the military to halt and postpone any strikes on Iran. Iran State TV is reporting. I don't know if we can believe Iran State TV, but Iran State TV.
To be honest, at this point, Iran State TV or a True Social post.
He says that Trump capitulated. There are no direct or indirect talks taking place with the Trump regime. This is from a spokesperson for the IRGC, and it is being run on Iran State TV, with the foreign ministry of Iran claiming that President Trump's remarks on day 5, a halt to strike on Iranian energy infrastructure, is a ploy to buy time for military preparations. What is your reaction?
Well, I believe there are talks happening. That's the memo that I've received. That's the briefing that I've received. I don't know how trustworthy Iranian state TV is. It's probably like a couple of liberal networks that come to my mind.
Oh, my God. Really, James? It's like a couple of liberal networks that come to mind. Were you about to criticize CNN when the president just said, oh, I love CNN now because they glazed me. They gave me a donut. And now he's like a couple of liberal news networks. You know what? In this case, I am going to probably believe Iranian TV because of what our president has said. I'm not defaulting to that. But the statement they made is like, listen, we've not negotiated anything. The president is trying to do this to stop the fucking bleeding. To stop the bleeding of our energy industry, global energy, directly when gas prices continue to spike. And when countries in Europe are having to ration energy this summer, that's because of the United States president in an attempt to cover up the fact that he's in, the Epstein files, which again, day 94 of the federal government breaking the law by not releasing the Jeffrey files, the Trump files that Jeffrey Epstein's name happens to be in. Yes, I said that. Good though, right? We're fine. The golden age, all that winning, we're totally good. So, that's James Comer trying to deflect his way out of the bullshit. And then Lindsey Graham apparently had some nice things to say. I haven't heard this yet, but I'll play it for you now. Let's see, I've got it someplace. Or not. Let's see. Senator Lindsey Graham called for the Marines to seize Karg Island, Iran's main oil export hub, which lies about 20 miles off the coast of the mainland, declaring on Fox, "We did Iwo Jima, we can do this." Okay. That's cool. Here's what I tell President Trump. Keep it up for a few more weeks. Take Karg Island, where all of the resources they have to produce oil. Control that island. Let this regime die on a vine, he told Shannon Bream on Fox News Sunday. Asked about an analysis by The Atlantic magazine that an invasion of Karg Island could become a grinding war of attrition, Graham said, "I'm sort of tired of all this armchair quarterbacking. I trust the Marines, not that guy," Graham said of The Atlantic's pessimistic assessment. "I trust the DOD. We've got 2 Marine expeditionary units in the area sailing to the island. We did Iwo Jima. We can do this. The Marines, my money's always on the Marines." Nearly 7,000 U.S. service members died in the battle for Iwo Jima, one of the bloodiest battles of the Pacific theater in World War II, and a key conflict in the U.S. military's island-hopping strategy to put U.S. bombers within range of the Japanese homeland. Graham's invocation of Iwo Jima and his call for the Marines to seize Karg Island prompted a strong response from Republican Nancy Mace, who argued that Graham has been wrong about conflicts in the past. Quote, Graham has one foreign policy: send someone else's kids to war, she said on X. He was wrong about Iraq. He was wrong about Afghanistan. Now he's wrong about Iran. Mace was the first female cadet to graduate from the Citadel, the Military College of South Carolina, while Graham served as a U.S. Air Force Judge Advocate General, or JAG, for more than 3 decades and retired as a colonel. Rep. Annapolina Luna, an Air Force veteran, said on social media that she was, quote, deeply upset by Graham's comments. I am deeply upset at the lack of respect for life Senator Lindsey Graham is displaying when talking about our troops. He is acting as if they are expendable cattle. This is unacceptable and dark. There were over 26,000 American casualties at Iwo Jima, she wrote on X. They are imploding. And yes, it's, I'm not going to say it, what's the right word, comical or whatever. It's fucking serious. A sitting United States senator referring to Iwo Jima, while the president, by the way, hosting the Japanese PM in front of her, talking about Pearl Harbor and sneak attacks. Okay. Okay. It's good to know. It's really good to know. And then again, bombing Carg Island just for fun. It's scary. It is really scary. And listen, we can all make our own assumptions and or predictions and or reasoning for why we're there. I've not been given one. We know it's got nothing to do with they've told us it has to do with their nuclear program that they obliterated apparently back in Operation Midnight Hammer. Apparently not, because apparently they were 3 weeks away. We were told it was because of their ICBMs that they could reach America, which we know that they can't. The Iranian government has a fatwa against nuclear weapons. So if we're going to take their religious doctrine seriously, again, you can't have it both ways. If it's Sharia law and fatwa is used to enforce Sharia law and a fatwa regarding opposition to nuclear weapons, then you have to accept that as the truth. So from my perspective, this is just Israel finally getting what they want. For decades, American presidents have resisted this urge. Bush, Clinton, others. Obama and Biden, they were both approached by Bibi, and he's like, nope, not doing this. We're not doing this. We're going to use diplomacy. We use the JPCOA and it works. JCPOA and it worked. But not now. No, you've got a gullible president. You've got a president who's compromised. You've got a president who is leveraged. You've got a president who's being led by a radical religious extremist who pose an imminent threat to the world. Period. You've got the Secretary of War who is a religious zealot who's attempting to justify this as saying that Donald Trump was called by God to take care of this. And Islam is the religious extremist who posed an imminent threat? Really? Really? Okay. Just want to make sure I understood correctly. Just want to make sure I understand where the threat's coming from. Good morning, Ren. How are you today?
Hi, I'm great. So just on the religious extremist thing, I put it in the chat earlier, but I just wanted to let you know too. On CNN last night, they finally aired that special on the church that I am at every Sunday with Doug Wilson. And it is now streaming live. So if anybody wants to go and check that out, it will tell you everything you need to know about that Christ Kirk Church, DC, as well as the rest of the ones that Doug Wilson is in charge of running. So it was a very interesting watch. My mom and I watched it together and she was like, that's gross. So.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. Doug Wilson, who's Pete Hegseth's pastor, doesn't believe that women should vote, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, that guy.
Yep, that guy.
Thank you, Ren. I appreciate you. Have a good day. Be safe.
You're welcome.
Yeah. We'll play some sound. We'll probably do some more of this because I'm not going to be able to get to all of this today, just because we have to end just a little bit before 11. But point is, when you've got leadership, in our government being influenced by people who completely call for the elimination of religions that are not Christianity, let's call it what it is. Here we sit. We've got a faith office with Paulo white cane who literally speaks in tongues just a couple of doors down from the White House. So who's truly the imminent threat to the world? In my estimation, that would be radical evangelical Christians, quite frankly. Those that are influencing, notice I said radical, those that are influencing the president. Yeah, I said it. Am I wrong? Especially when the president, when the Pentagon says, listen, this is a religious war. This is a religious war. Illusion of choice. Can you come up and talk to me for a second? I'm just curious. Because you can easily make that comment, but I want to understand why. I'm giving you examples as to why we have threats now. What the president has told us, that they're calling for a holy war. And your comment is, and the left is the, and the left, oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Bro, I'm sorry, brother, I'm driving. It's okay, I misread that. My apologies. Thank you, friend. I appreciate you. Have a good day. Be safe out there. Peace, brother. Yep. Peace to you. I misread that. But here we sit. Right. He was asking ironically, exactly right. But here we sit. Here we sit. Why are we there? No one knows. Apparently, we're just supposed to just let it pass. No short-term pain, long-term gain. The economy is cratering because the president put us at war. And again, because one of the reasons that I do go to right-wing spaces, so you don't have to, you're welcome, is because I want to make sure I understand the talking points. So now the talking point is the president is now playing 5D chess, right? By threatening Iran with all these kinds of things so that Iran would blink. And when then Iran didn't blink, the response is, again, this is just part of the strategy. So we buy ourselves a little bit of time to reposition ships, to increase blockades, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They've got nowhere to hide, friends. They've got nowhere to hide. And you're starting to see infighting. You're starting to see Nancy Mace push back. You're starting to see Anna Paulina Luna push back. You're seeing veterans who've served, who are, although not loud enough, right? They're pushing back too. I mentioned Nancy Mace. Got some interesting sound from her. And then I got to play this incredible sound from Inayat. Just to recap, Trump illegally bombed Iran. Iran responded by closing the Strait of Hormuz, thus spiking oil prices. Trump is now responding by lifting sanctions on Iranian oil, thus funding the regime he's bombing as the Strait of Hormuz remains closed. So in short, Trump bombed Iran, raised oil prices for Americans, gave Iran more money. Masterful by the guy who claimed to be the deal maker, the art of the deal. Yeah, just to be clear, just want to make sure I understand that strategy, because boy, I don't know, I never would have thought that would have been the game. But here you go. Is this the one? Oh, that's not the sound I wanted to play. We'll get into that in just a second, because Nancy Mace is weird, because sometimes she says things I'm like, yeah, you're fucking right. She's talking about how Senator Lindsey Graham completely mocking active duty and military and referencing the Iwo Jima where 26,000 lives were lost. She signs on to the Epstein Files Transparency Act. She claims that she wants to defend survivors, but then she says horrible things about the trans community. And then she says stupid fucking shit. Like stupid shit. Well, let's play her stupid shit, because we'll get into this. She's talking about the SAVE Act. It's not going anywhere, and I've got some more reporting on that for you. But I want you to listen to what she says here. Again, she's in her safe space on Fox News. South Carolina. She's running for governor of your state, okay?
You need an ID to get a job. You need an ID to pay rent. You need an ID to buy a house. You need an ID to buy over-the-counter medicine.
Hey, Nancy, none of those things are constitutional rights, okay?
Like NyQuil, and it's only the far left Democrats in the Senate and the House right now that are holding this up. But also, you got Republicans in the Senate. And I told the president, I've told everyone who will listen, I've told leadership that we need to hold Congress hostage until we save democracy, we pass the Save America Act, and we ensure that every single individual who's voting in our elections is actually a citizen of the United States. That is the best thing that we can do right now to protect democracy. And Kevin, as you say, this is an 80-20 issue, whether you are Black American, white American, Hispanic American, Republican American, Democrat American, independent. Every single person in this country agrees that only citizens should vote in our elections. So this is, I believe, the issue of our time, and I'm fine with holding Senator Thune hostage until we get this done.
Okay, Nancy, to buy Pop-Tarts, to drive your car, to go to the grocery store, none of those are constitutionally protected rights. Those are privileges. So, yeah, it's not going to happen. You're losing. Big time. Bigly, you're losing. There's a lot of fracturing now in the GOP. They're likely not going to get what they wanted because John Thune, this is reporting by The Hill, the president has threatened to not sign any more pieces of legislation, right, until the SAVE Act gets passed. They're doing this extended sort of talking filibuster-ish debate. It's not going to happen. It's not going to pass. What are we fucking doing? What are we doing? Meanwhile, Republicans and Democrats have each introduced standalone bills to fund TSA, to fund FEMA, to fund Coast Guard, etc. And don't forget, now, today, we are expecting ICE agents to be working at airports. Statement from the president.
I'm a big proponent of ICE wearing masks as they search for and are forced to deal with hardened criminals, many of whom were let into our country by Sleepy Joe Biden and his wonderful border czar Kamala. She never even went to the border. Through their absolutely insane open border policy, I would greatly appreciate, however, no masks when helping our country out of the Democrat mess at airports. Thank you, DJT.
So now we're going to send ICE agents to airports to do what? To do what? What are they going to do? They're already under fucking qualified. So Tom Homan doing the rounds, he's being questioned about this very thing. The president has now put Tom Homan in charge of this. To do what? Here you go.
President Trump posted on Truth Social, quote, "If the radical left Democrats don't immediately sign an agreement to let our country, in particular our airports, be free and safe again, I will move our brilliant and patriotic ICE agents to the airports where they will do security like no one has ever seen before." Now, in a subsequent post, he said that he instructed ICE agents to be ready by Monday. And now the president is saying that you, sir, are going to be in charge. How is that going to work? Are ICE agents going to move into American airports starting tomorrow, Monday?
Today.
Yes. And I'm currently working on the plan now.
Listen to how, defeated this guy sounds. Tom Homan just wants to run around the country and round up brown people. Tom Homan just wants to have he's got his tally marker on his wall. He just wants to go out and round up brown people. He doesn't want anything to do with TSA. You can fucking hear it in his voice.
Execution, working with the director of ICE and the administrator at TSA, the acting administrator. So we'll put together a plan today and we'll execute tomorrow.
Okay, so there are a lot of questions here. First of all, are ICE agents even remotely trained to handle security at airports?
ICE agents aren't trained to do their fucking day job. Are you fucking kidding me? We know that they cut their 6 month of training down to 47 days or whatever the number was. We know that they're not qualified. We know that they're not going through extensive background checks. We know all of that shit. We know all of it. And now they weren't trained to do that, and you think that they're suddenly going to be trained to become a TSA agent? Are you kidding me? She asked him, are you trained?
ICE agents receive a high level of training. And, the ICE agents are assigned at many airports across the country.
Handle security at airports, even remotely trained to handle security at airports?
Again, let's get the full question.
And go out today, and we'll execute tomorrow.
Okay, so there are a lot of questions here. First of all, are ICE agents even remotely trained to handle security at airports?
ICE agents receive a high level of training. And
in what fucking world, Tom? In what world did ICE receive high levels of training? In what world? Once again, bro. I mean, listen. I know I know you got your bag of cash. I hope the fuck you invested it wisely, because my goodness, friend, ICE agents have received comprehensive and extensive training. Okay.
And, the ICE agents are assigned at many airports across the country already. They do a lot of investigation, criminal investigation on smuggling at airports. But, you know, there's got TSA agents covering exits, people that enter through the exits. You know, certainly a highly trained ICE law enforcement officer can cover an exit, makes people don't go through those exits, entering the airport through the exits, and that stuff like that relieves that TSA officer to go to screening and to reduce those lines. So wherever we can provide extra security, I don't see an ICE agent looking at an X-ray machine because they're not trained in that. There are certain parts.
Well, that's what Sean Duffy said. Sean Duffy, the TSA guy, said, well, yeah, they're going to be working X-ray machines. So when I fly to New York this coming Friday, should I test it? Mods are like going to kick me in the shin. Should I cause some good trouble at the airport just to test it? Just to see? Probably not a good idea.
Parts of security that TSA is doing, and we can move them off those jobs and put them in the specialized jobs, help move those lines.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. So what you're saying is when you move ICE into airports, they are going to be just around the exits and the exteriors. They're not going to be helping people get through the lines and screening people's bags.
Those discussions are going on now. I'm not an expert at TSA, so that's why I'm talking to the TSA administrator and the ICE director, find out where we can fit in. We'll have a plan by the end of today where we're sending, what airports we're starting with and where we're sending them. But that's a discussion we're having right now. I ended the discussion to do the show, and I'll be back having the discussions when I finish. So it's a work in progress, but we will be at the airports tomorrow helping TSA move those lines along.
And I know you said it's a work in progress, but at least at the beginning, are there specific airports that you're thinking about starting with? And how many ICE agents are you considering deploying to do this?
Again, that's going based on discussions we're having today. I think we need to, my opinion is that we concentrate on airports where the longest waits are. We prioritize those. The large airports where there's a long wait, like 3 hours. I think we got to prioritize what we do like we do everything else. So again, having those discussions, continued discussions after the show with the leadership of those agencies will lead us to some decisions based on prioritization, where we deploy, how quick we deploy, how many agents we deploy. So hopefully we'll have all those answers here by this afternoon, but we're working on it. And when we deploy tomorrow, we'll have a well thought out plan to execute.
With respect, if you're doing this in 24 hours, how well thought out could it possibly be?
It's a great fucking question. Okay, I was just literally handled this. I've got chaos in American airports across the country. I've got TSA agents that are not being paid because the Republicans have shut down the government because they don't want to fund FEMA, the Coast Guard, TSA, etc. Republicans have done that. Republican leadership specifically, because Democrats and Republicans have each introduced separate funding bills for TSA, Coast Guard, FEMA, etc., with the exception of ICE, because they want to negotiate. It's Republican leadership that's doing this. So yeah, the idea comes from the mind of the Orange Menace, the Christian Nationalist Brigade, to go out and solve this problem at airports. And Tom Homan's like, fuck, where's my bag of cash? Can I run?
Again, ICE has been at airports across the country for a long time. It's just expanding those things. Look, how much of a plan does it mean to guard an exit to make sure no one comes through that exit? We're talking about security options, and these officers are well trained in security, and they're well trained in identification. And look, we're going to do what we can to help TSA move.
Well trained in security? And well-trained in racial profiling? I mean, identification? Is that what you meant? Yeah, you're right. Poor Chrissy Nome is going to miss out on wearing her flight attendant cosplay. Good call, Lori. Is that what you meant? That they're good at racial profiling? What are they going to do? Like, what are they going to stand by the fucking door? This is what you don't understand, Tom. Is that your ICE agents are getting paid because of a supplemental from last year. They're getting paid, but TSA agents aren't. How do you think that's going to go over? So should I make a break for it through a door and run across the tarmac? I won't, I promise. I want to, but I won't.
Those people to the line.
And last question on this, because this is important, and I realize that this is clearly a plane that you're creating while it's in the air here, but this is a question that a lot of people are asking. Is it just going to be crowd control, or will ICE officers also be doing immigration enforcement while they are at the airports?
Yep, going streaking. That's it.
We do immigration enforcement at airports all the time. So is that going to change? It's not going to change. This is about helping the men and women of TSA. They've lost several hundred employees. The lines are really slow because of the shutdown. This is about going to helping TSA do their mission and get the American public through that airport as quick as they can. Well, while adhering to all the security guidelines and the protocols, we're simply there to help TSA do their job in areas that don't need their specialized expertise, such as, screening through the X-ray machine. Not training that, we won't do that. But there are roles we can play to release TSA officers from the non-significant roles, such as guarding an exit, so they can get back to the scanning machines and move people quicker.
Non-significant role is what, Tom?
And we're just simply helping our fellow officers at TSA.
The ones that are getting paid. You mean your guys are getting paid, they're not. This is just, the airport that I fly out of, we always joke, it's Burlington International Airport just because they have like a puddle jumper that flies to Montreal. It's really hard to get anywhere from Burlington International Airport. You connect everywhere, but I'll be there really fucking early on Friday in anticipation of what I expect to be delays, right? So, and then who the fuck knows? Like, this is crazy. It's just, exactly. It's going to cause more delays. It's not going to help. And the president himself has said he is not going to sign any legislation into law unless Republicans can pass the SAVE Act. The SAVE Act is not going to get passed. It's not going to happen. There's not enough votes even within the Republican Party. It's not going to happen. Nancy Mace can tell you all fucking day, you need an ID to buy beer. You need an ID to drive. You need an ID to get your truck nut polished. Maybe you don't, if you did. But you know what? Those things are not constitutional rights. Those are privileges. And we've already seen the impact that this could potentially have on 20 plus million Americans having to go through the exercise. It's not about election security, you guys. It's just not. It never has been. It never will be. It's strictly about voter suppression. They are fucking desperate. They have nothing to run on. Absolutely nothing. The economy is in the shitter. Immigration blown up in their face because they're not just rounding up the bad brown people. They're rounding up everybody. American citizens losing their lives under the pressure of ICE. Promises of no new wars, and here we are again. Corruption, the Epstein files, they've got nothing. Thank you for saying that, Illusion. We have to keep the pressure on. We have to keep talking about it. We have to keep registering to vote. We still have to be a thorn in people's fucking sides. So, there's that. Let me quickly check in over here. Jen, what are you doing? You need to do that. Wow. Jen, thank you for your kind $100 donation. Because of you and Do Something, I was asked to speak at the League of Women Voters meeting. That's not me. That's you, friend. Thank you for doing that. That's incredibly kind. Hearts in the chat for Jen. That's very sweet. Thank you so very much. That's incredibly kind of you. Wow. That's awesome. Good for you. That's incredible. Good for you. Also want to thank, let's see here. Mark says, is it Marquier? Sure. Congratulations on the Do Something tour. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. That's very kind of you. You guys are awesome. Let me adjust our little target here. We are now at, let's see, I got to do math. There we go. Cool. Okay. Extremely running. The extremity running NYC. Did I mention the extremity running NYC? You mean the Democratic Socialist who's a smart guy who cares about citizens? That's cool. Yeah, I did mention that. Smiling therapist. How are you this morning?
I'm good, Steve. Can you hear me?
I can.
Just a quick announcement to anybody that has a student at Penn College in Williamsport, PA. There was an active shooter on campus. My son goes there. He just informed me that he is safe. He had to shelter in place a couple different times. They got him back to his dorm. But anybody that has a student up there, they may want to check on him.
Okay, we will research that. Thank you for bringing that to our attention, sir. I appreciate you being here this morning. Thank you. Glad everything's okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, my son called me. He's safe, but anybody that has a student that goes to that that college, they may want to check on their student.
Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate that. That's it. Oh, sorry about that. We will look into that. We'll look into that. A shocker. Somebody had just said about what's wrong with bringing an ID to vote. That's not the issue. Okay, that's not the issue for people who don't understand. We'll talk about this all day, every day. The issue is putting a financial restriction in front of someone's constitutional right to vote. If you demand someone to produce proof of citizenship and they don't have access to the documents that are required and they have to spend money to do that, that is a poll tax. That is unconstitutional. Okay? And because of that, we know that it over-indexes against women and minority communities, especially those in the Southeast. So please be mindful of that. We are efforting to find out if we can confirm information regarding that potential active shooter. We haven't found anything yet. Hey, Manny, how are you, friend?
Hey, two things. I did want to touch on the ICE thing. So really quick, tomorrow, 3 Florida elections, special elections, Senate, and 2 in the House. I don't remember the district numbers off the top of my head, but they're state special elections in Florida. So I believe everybody here knows a lot of people in Florida. So just remind people, say whatever you have to say to get the word out on the special elections in Florida. The second thing is about my perspective on the ICE. On the ICE being deployed into airports. From the reports that I've read, it's 14 airports. This is a large scare tactic because HSI as a subdivision of ICE is already at airports. People don't realize that because you wouldn't necessarily notice this. You're putting people on high alerts to now look out for HSI and ICE at airports, which is going to cause a frenzy. This is what the administration wants. HSI is already at airports. They routinely work there because of how high traffic airports are to catch crime. This is going to cause a serious backlog in the lines. Now, I've also seen reports that ICE specifically is going to be working anywhere between the exits to actual ID screening. If they cannot screen IDs on the field in the wild, how could they possibly screen IDs at checkpoints when they have actively said that your state issue ID, your real ID, even sorry, I got a phone call. Even as going as far as saying your passport is not legitimate. This is a big issue. ICE, as the full 13,000 field agents, do not regularly work at airports. It is HSI. It's a large scare tactic, and if we've seen what they have done in the streets, the idea of bringing that to international airports, insane. But I gotta get going. I love you, Steve. Remember, tomorrow, Florida, 3 special elections.
Get out there and vote. Thank you, Manny. I appreciate you. Love you too, bro. I saw Chris. I think Chris might have been an actual agent. Might have been a TSA agent. I think he's got some perspective on this. Good morning, my brother. How are you?
Good morning. It was not a TSA. excuse me. I was not a TSA agent. I worked for the Massachusetts Port Authority for 36 years, the last 30 at Logan International Airport as security for access onto the AOA. So I know more about this than anyone else in here. The only place they could put ICE is either at the front, checking the IDs, making sure they match up with the name on your boarding pass, or they could put them at the exit, the doors you come out. If anyone ever leaves an airport, when you go on a baggage claim, you'll see there'll be a TSA agent just sitting by a door hitting a button. The button is to keep that door open because those doors are all security doors. They're all alarmed. So that's all they'll be doing. The only other thing they possibly could do is in some airports, they used to do it at Logan, but we took that over at Logan, is they check employees' IDs, which are IDs issued by the airport. The other thing is they cannot wear masks because they will be in a cider area, which is a security ID area. They're not allowed to be masked in that area. They can't carry their guns because the only people who are authorized to carry guns in cider areas are the Massachusetts State Police who are assigned there, U.S. Customs who are assigned there. And a few, like we do have FBI agents and Secret Service occasionally who are assigned there who have a badge. If they were to carry their weaponry, they would have to be under escort by the state police, which would just cut down on the personnel. So realistically, the only way they could help with any work as far as people going through the lines and so forth is they'd have to put them either at the front, like I said, checking your license or any of your ID to make sure it matches with your boarding pass, or sitting by the exit hitting that button. That's all they can really do. They can't wander around with the mask on. That they're not allowed. You have to, I mean, you know, the federal government, but that doesn't work that way. They have to follow the rules and regulations of the airport. The airports are run, every airport in the country is run by an authority. And they all have to come under the federal rules and regulations, but they also, there are certain things that you just can't bend the rules for. Because, I mean, I worked at the access to the airfield. I couldn't let Secret Service in, I couldn't let the FBI in unless they were assigned there. I had to tell congressmen, I had to tell the U.S. Army they could not go without an escort. I dealt with that for over 30 years. So it's just not like they can just go, oh, we're ICE, and just going to walk in the airport. Doesn't work that way. Way. So
I figured there was going to be some controls over that. So basically that plus what you just said and the fact that TSA agents are not getting paid and the ICE agents are getting paid, I'm sure that's not going to go over very well. But
that won't go over well at all. And again, you can't put them on X-ray because they're not trained on X-ray. Not that it's a lot to be trained on the X-ray, but you have to know what you're looking for, because if you put them on X-ray, you're going to have longer lines because they're going to be going, wait a minute, what's that? Oh, what's that? And that's going to just, close everything else to go down. But that's the thing. I mean, everyone's getting all caught up on this because they think it's a scare tactic. Realistically, ICE really can't do much. There's already law enforcement at every airport. So do not go streaking, Steve, because the real police will show up and arrest you at Burlington Airport. Okay, so do not streak.
Okay,
the real police will show up.
I'll take your advice, and I probably won't travel with any toys in case they have to go through X-ray.
Yeah, don't do that either. Or if you do, take the battery out.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate you, buddy. Have a good day. Be safe out there. That's good information. That's good information to have. I mean, again, I think he's right. It's a threat. It's just a fear. And Manny said the same thing. I think it's a fear-mongering tactic, to be perfectly honest. But anyway, we're going streaking. So here's a little bit more on that story.
ICE agents have been sent to help TSA officers who are not getting any paychecks during the partial government. Very, very long lines in a lot of airports and a whole lot of stress. Skylar Henry is at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson Airport with the latest there. Skylar, good morning to you. What can you tell us?
Hey, Gail, good morning. We have already seen some of those ICE officers. As of now, they appear to be patrolling the lines outside of the checkpoints. This is the TSA pre-check line here at the airport. The folks that we have spoken with say that they've been in line for hours already, and they still have a ways to go before they make their way to and through the security checkpoint. Over the weekend, a high number of TSA officers called out already, the highest since the shutdown began. More than 400 officers said that they have quit altogether, compounding the staffing shortage.
The frustration is palpable at airports across the country.
Oh, it's moving kind of slow today.
From New York to New Orleans, where security lines snaked all the way into the parking lot. On Saturday alone, more than 11.5% of all TSA officers called out of work nationwide, the most since the shutdown began. At Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, the nation's busiest hub,
Anybody want a water?
staff handed out water to weary travelers over the weekend who have been advised to arrive 4 hours before their scheduled departure time. Julie Curtis and her husband did just that and were still forced to rebook after missing their flight.
We've just been standing and saying, our feet are killing us, and my husband has a heart condition on top of that.
Over the weekend, the Trump administration said it would start deploying ICE agents to some of the harder-hit airports to help speed up TSA screenings.
And these officers are well-trained in security, and they're well-trained in identification. And look, we're going to do what we can to help TSA move those.
No, they're not well-trained. So again, travel plans, and I will keep this in mind for our MAGA friends. I know you all are looking for an application to the thruple. The problem is your applications really don't make it past my initial screeners because you have to know the difference between which and which. And if you don't, then there's no seat in the thruple for you. Just saying. So there's that. Here's some additional sound. This just came through like 10 minutes ago. This is Maria Bartiromo. Apparently she just had a conversation with the president regarding Iran. So I haven't heard this yet. So here you go.
Welcome back. I just spoke with President Trump, and he told me that Iran wants to make a deal badly. He said that the talks have been ongoing. I said, how much longer will this conflict go on? He said the talks, I said 5 days to halt or postpone strikes on the electrical infrastructure. It could happen sooner, he said, but I have put down 5 days. I asked him what his reaction is to Iranian state television saying that there are no talks, and he said he's not sure what they are referring to because the most recent talks happened, in fact, last night with Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner and their counterparts. When I asked about the Iranian TV saying that no talks have happened, he said it's hard to get any information there because of the U.S.'s blowing up so much of their infrastructure. So again, he wasn't sure what Iran state TV was talking about because the most recent talks, he said, happened last night with Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. Again, the president just told me moments ago that the Iranians want to do a deal badly. The market, of course, has reversed course this morning after the president posted this morning in the middle of a big decline in markets. He said that he has directed the military to postpone strikes on the electrical infrastructure and the power plants for 5 days as these talks continue.
Shifty Lincoln, thank you for the super chat over on YouTube. Shifty Lincoln says, Trump is spreading lies about the negotiations to manipulate the market so that him and his buddies can all buy on the dip. It's all about the war profit. And that is absolutely true. So the dip, people come in, scoop the shit up, they make more fucking money, and here we sit. So gas will cross the $4 per gallon threshold. That will happen. Okay? So just be prepared. We know that the president is, how do I want to say this? Not necessarily the brightest bulb on the tree. I'm being kind. So let me play a little bit of sound on that particular topic because he said something extremely interesting. Let's see if I can find it. Everybody keep tapping. Again, programming note, we're going today till just before 11. Got some capitalism I need to deal with today. It's an exciting day, potentially. I'll let you all know. We'll fill you in on that at some point. Let me see here. The president made a very bold statement about how he felt like this was basically nothing, that he kind of expected the prices to go even higher. I don't know why you would say something like that, my guy. Actually, you know what? Let's just, we can spend all day talking about that, but I want to address something specifically because, as you know, Robert Mueller passed away. Robert Mueller, a decorated veteran who served his country proudly and honorably in Vietnam. And I think it's interesting that this is a picture of Robert Mueller with his rifle. And this is a picture of Donald Trump, the draft dodger, with his nice little bowling trophy. So there's that. This is the president discussing how do I say this? The hypocrisy when it comes to a prominent figure passing away. So here's a little bit of here's a bit of soundbite compilation on how the president addresses death.
Start revoking the visas of the foreigners who have celebrated Charlie Kirk's death.
No, we haven't, but we are looking at names. We don't like that. That's not right. We wouldn't celebrate if something happened on their side, and we don't. These are sick people. These are really deranged people.
The president said that he was talking about how people were celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. The president said on Truth Social, Robert Mueller just died. Good. I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people, President Donald J. Trump. So MAGA or any sycophant Charlie Kirk aficionado fan, fuck all of you all. Because if any of you come out today, if any of you come out today and do anything other than criticize the president of the United States for what he said about Robert Mueller, then fuck you. Robert Mueller with his rifle in Vietnam, Donald Trump, the draft dodging traitor with his little bowling trophy. Ow. So there's that. The President of the United States. Thank you. The President of the United States. Robert Mueller just died. Good. I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people. Remember when Trump raged about sick and deranged people daring to celebrate Charlie Kirk's assassination? His side would never gloat over the deaths like that. Charlie Kirk was a vile, despicable, disgusting, horrible human being who did not deserve to die for his political beliefs. Two things can be true. Two things can be true. I'm not the president of the United States. I don't have the biggest microphone in the world. I don't. Here's the fundamental difference, one of many differences between the president and his supporters. These are the statements that have come out recently. We wouldn't celebrate if something happened on their side, and we don't. These are sick people who are celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. And again, I just read to you what the president said. Robert Mueller just died. Good. I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people, President Donald J. Trump. This was from, here's a statement on Robert Mueller's death. Robert Mueller is a war hero who once recovered the body of a dead American soldier behind enemy lines. He was shot by an enemy soldier and went back to war 3 months later. A Marine is an Army Ranger. He's a Marine. He's an Army Ranger Hall of Famer and is awarded the Purple Heart and the Bronze Star. Robert Mueller. Barack Obama. Bob Mueller was one of the finest directors in the history of the FBI, transforming the Bureau after 9/11 and saving countless lives. But it was his relentless commitment to the rule of law and his unwavering belief in our bedrock values that made him one of the most respected public servants of our time. Michelle and I send our condolences to Bob's family and everyone who knew and admired him. President Trump says what everyone is thinking. He's right. We shouldn't be sad when bad people die, said Laura Loomer. George W. Bush, statement by the president on Bob Mueller. Laura and I are deeply saddened by the loss of Robert Mueller. Bob dedicated his life to public service. As a Marine in Vietnam, he proved he was ready for tough assignments. He earned a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart before returning home to pursue law. In 2001, only 1 week into the job as director of the FBI, Bob transitioned the agency's mission to protecting the homeland after September 11. He led the agency effectively, helping prevent another terrorist attack on the U.S. Laura and I send our heartfelt sympathy to his wife of nearly 60 years, Anne, and the entire Mueller family. Robert Mueller with his rifle in Vietnam, Donald Trump with his bowling trophy, if that, probably a participation trophy. He just had to show up there because Dad probably bought it for him. It's probably made out of plastic. Yeah, good point, Feisty. Charlie Kirk was a piece of inhumanity and didn't deserve to lose his life for his speech. So I'm not going to listen to any fucking pathetic, hypocritical MAGA today unless the first thing that you do is criticize the president for that statement. Because it's a million times worse. People on TikTok, leftists or whomever, cheering and celebrating. First of all, anybody who did that is how embarrassing. Shame on you for celebrating somebody's death. We can sit here and disagree. I can call Charlie Kirk the disgusting piece of fucking increment that he actually was, and shouldn't have lost his life. And flags flew at half staff. Are we going to see flags fly at half staff for a decorated veteran, a decorated war hero, a Bronze Star Purple Heart recipient who went behind enemy lines in Vietnam to rescue a fallen comrade? I mean, come on. Anybody chirping? Anybody feel like that was justified? And this is what the cult does. This is what the cult does. This is what the cult does. You cannot accept the fact that normally, well, I shouldn't say normally, in the past, before you drank the Kool-Aid, you would be celebrating him. So Vietnam veterans in the chat who served, who are Trump supporters, who knows? You might have shared some of the same blood. You might have been running around in the same dirt and mud that Bob Mueller was. Are you going to agree with the president by what he said? Probably not, right? No, not at all. Well, it gets worse because Scott fucking Bessent, who's really moving up on the list. Like, I'm not ready to replace Mike Johnson as being a number one bitch boy, but he's fucking close. Scott Bessent. Kristen Welker, during the Sunday morning shows, asked him a question about whether or not this was justified, what the president said.
Different topic about a post by President Trump from yesterday responding to the death of former special counsel Robert Mueller. He posted this, quote, "Robert Mueller just died. Good, I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people." Do you think it's appropriate for the President of the United States to celebrate the death of an American citizen, someone who's a Bronze Star, Purple Heart recipient and who served in Vietnam?
Simple question. Now, Scott Bessent had a choice to make here. I agree, Kipper. He could have just said, it's a tragic loss and we wish his family the best. He could have just said that and then just moved on and shifted gears and pivot like he always does. So again, here's the setup. This is what Kristen Welker's, the question that she has is the appropriate question, addressing what the president said.
Different topic about a post by President Trump from yesterday responding to the death of former special counsel Robert Mueller. He posted this, quote, "Robert Mueller just died. Good, I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people." Do you think it's appropriate for the President of the United States to celebrate the death of an American citizen, someone who's a Bronze Star, Purple Heart recipient and who served in Vietnam?
Kristen, I was with the president in the green room at Davos, and there was a video playing of the what may have been an illegal raid on his home at Mar-a-Lago. They are going through his wife's wardrobe.
I'm sorry, what? Okay.
And I watched the look in his eye, and I think that neither one of us can understand what has been done to the president and to his family.
But to the question of the president's post, I mean, Robert Mueller didn't order that raid. Is it appropriate for the president to celebrate the death of any American citizen,
again,
Mr. Secretary?
I think that given what has been done to President Trump and his family, it is impossible for either of us to understand what he has been through.
So you don't think that there's anything wrong with the post saying, good, Robert Mueller's dead?
Again, I think that we should all have a little empathy for what has been done to him and his family.
Wow. All right. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, thank you as always for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
When we come back.
So there's 2,100 people in here. Everybody tap like crazy, please. I appreciate that. I know that there's some of my fans that are in here today. When I say fans, those that send me death threats. I would like you to look at this picture, okay? I would like you to look at this picture and understand that Bob Mueller, Vietnam War veteran, Purple Heart recipient, Bronze Star winner, who went across enemy lines to rescue a fallen comrade, dragged that individual to safety, was injured himself numerous times, went back into the fight. That guy, this guy who's your boy, is a 5-time or 4-time draft dodger standing with his bowling trophy while this guy was saving lives. And the president of the United States, now this guy, comes out with a Truth Social post that says, I'm glad he's dead. And if any of you mouth-breathing fucks cannot criticize the president for saying that, then I don't know what to tell you. It is the ultimate disgusting hypocrisy. I know there's veterans in here. I don't know if there's any Vietnam War veterans in here. I can assume that. But I know there are veterans in here. And I know that a lot of you veterans in here who I firmly believe if you voted for Donald Trump and you are a vet, I would ask you to question your oath, quite frankly. How can you be okay with any of that? Because if you are, then you have to understand why we refer to you as traitors and why we refer to you as being in the cult. Bob Mueller, a true and bona fide American hero, he did exactly what he was supposed to do. He went to Vietnam. He was injured in combat. He rescued a fallen comrade and received the Bronze Star and the Purple Heart. And our president said, what was the statement he said? Robert Mueller just died. Good. I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people. President Donald J. Trump. Somebody just said this. I bet I protested what? What did you say? I bet you protested any type of draft. What, Austin? Austin, request up, because I don't think you're smart enough for this conversation, but I'd love to embarrass you in front of 2,000 people. I bet you protested any type of draft. Well, I'm not old enough. I wouldn't have been able to be drafted, but I think a draft is fucking diabolical to order people to serve. Volunteers, sure, all you want. I would protest the draft, absolutely. There's talk of the draft now. Why wouldn't you, Austin? Austin, you would run and hide because you're a coward on the internet who thinks what the president did is okay. This is beyond, like, it's, one of the things we talk about how just the president is just incompetent and just a fucking fool. But this shit, man, I mean, that contrast right there, Donnie Bone Spurs with his little bowling trophy and an actual American hero who saved lives 6 days after he was appointed FBI director, 9/11 happened. He saved American lives. You can disagree with his politics all day long. Sure, go ahead. He investigated the president's crimes regarding the Russian interference in the 2016 election. He was appointed by Bill Barr, Donald Trump's AG. He investigated Russian interference and said, without question, Russia interfered in the election. And without question, if the president wasn't the president, we would have charged him with obstruction of justice. Now, that's probably why the president's a little angry, don't you think? Robert Mueller with his rifle in Vietnam. I'm going to let that picture just sit there for a little bit, MAGA. Donnie Bone Spurs with his little bowling trophy. How many times did he dodge the draft? 4 or 5? Something to that effect? Yeah. Thank you. You didn't need to do that. I really appreciate it, though.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure. This story about Robert Mueller, by the way, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. My son got married last Saturday.
Well, congratulations. That is freaking awesome. Congratulations. I know that that's been on your mind. So something good happened in your life. You see? There you go.
Yeah. So, this story of Mueller kind of reminds me of something that happened locally. You know very well, and probably the chat knows that I detest the Board of Supervisors in my county. And I've gotten up at board meetings and just straight up yelled at them and screamed at them. But then the chair was diagnosed with colon cancer. And I put on my Facebook, look, I don't agree with anything this man says politically, but this is time to put politics aside and be human and humanity. And I just said, I wish you the best. This is a terrible diagnosis. And, we know you've got this, like just giving him, all of the positivity that I could, putting politics aside. And I want to remind everybody that that's what differentiates us from the other side. And that in times like this, because things are going to happen, I promise you in the future, where people on their side are going to, whatever happens, don't stoop to their level and be like, well, you remember when you do what's the right thing? I'm not saying when they go low, you go high, but in these senses, when it's something like death or sickness or something like that, I really do believe in the humanity and doing the right thing in those kind of senses, not politically, just human wise. So
agreed.
Yeah.
We do what humans do.
Yeah.
Congratulations to you and thank you again. That's very kind of you. I appreciate you very much.
All right. Talk to you later.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
All right.
That's great. I mean, congratulations, Jen. That's the best. And she's right. I mean, again, if we can't, the picture tells the story, doesn't it? How can anybody criticize this? And something both Tiff and Jess pointed out in my mod chat. There was an interview that Scott Bessent did. Scott Bessent, auditioning to be Bitch Boy, said he was sitting down with an interview and then he got called to the Situation Room. And I'm not going to find the interview. I can describe it though. He was called into the Situation Room. He comes back. This was like a week and a half ago, maybe. He comes back to the interview and he was obviously shaken. So something became prominent. First of all, for the Treasury Secretary to be called to the sit room is not necessarily normal. They're not military intelligence. It's not an operation. Not necessarily normal. Okay. So he gets called to the sit room. He comes back. He's fucking rattled. He got freaked out by something. Because this guy, I mean, literally to go out and to go on the record, I'm going to play that sound again, to go on the record and say what he just said about Bob Mueller and trying to defend what the president said. Here it is again.
Ask you on a different topic about a post by President Trump from yesterday responding to the death of former special counsel Robert Mueller. He posted this quote, "Robert Mueller just died. Good. I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people."
Yeah.
Do you think it's appropriate for the President of the United States to celebrate the death of an American citizen, someone who's a Bronze Star, Purple Heart recipient and who served in Vietnam?
Kristen, I was with the president in the green room at Davos, and there was a video playing of what may have been an illegal raid on his home at Mar-a-Lago. Wow. They are going through his wife's wardrobe, and I watched the look in his eye, and I think that neither one of us can understand what has been done to the president and to his family.
Unreal.
But to the question of the president's post, I mean, Robert Mueller didn't order that raid. Is it appropriate for the president to celebrate the death of any American citizen,
again,
Mr. Secretary?
I think that given what has been done to President Trump and his family, it is impossible for either of us to understand what he has been through.
So you don't think that there's anything wrong with the post saying, good, Robert Mueller's dead?
Again, I think that we should all have a little empathy for what has been done to him and his family.
All right. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, thank you as always for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
When we come back.
Empathy for what's been done to his family? What? BOP, thank you for your kindness, your amazing donation to our cause here as well. Thank you so very, very much. Hearts in the chat for BLP for your $100 donation towards the Do Something To. I appreciate you. I mean, where the fuck is the fucking line with these pathetic fucking people? Where the fuck is the line? I mean, come on. That's your defense? You didn't have to say anything. You could have just said, the president speaks how the president wants to speak. It's not me. Those are the statements he made. Do you agree or do you disagree? I'm not in a position to answer. Instead, you come up with that fucking shit? Really? Really? Remember, we're told on the left that we're weak because we're empathetic. Or that we're weak because we care about humans. To Jen's point, she cares about humans doing the right thing. And here we sit. Again, a Bronze Star, Purple Heart, combat veteran, wounded in service to his country while dragging a fellow comrade from enemy lines back to safety. And what? What? And our trolls in the chat, they can't address it. Any combat vets out there? Any combat vets out there who still support Trump? You want to address any of this? Good, he said. Good. Glad he's dead. Yeah. But don't say anything bad about Patriot Kirk, flags at half-staff. Yeah, and again, Charlie Kirk, flags flown at half-staff? Racist, bigot, Christian nationalist, religious zealot? That guy, again, didn't deserve to die for his political beliefs. That guy? The guy that you feel like we should be celebrating and not Bob Mueller? You don't stand with Trump here, Mike? Good. You shouldn't. I'm going to invite you up. I'm curious about this. I'd just like to talk because is this the line for you, Mike? Is this the line? Is this the line for you, Mike?
How the line was hit the first time that Donald Trump was ever elected. I'm just saying that I am a combat vet and I don't stand with Trump at all. And I don't know how any true American could.
Yeah, I just was curious because you said here I don't stand with Trump. Does that mean you stood with him elsewhere?
You were asking if there was any combat vets out there. And I said here, and I don't stand with Trump.
Okay. So, I would imagine how you're feeling today when you heard that or saw that. I'm sure, obviously, as someone who's took the oath, I appreciate your service. Thank you very much for that. But I'm sure there's been numerous things, but this one in particular, this one must have really hit.
It just never stops. I think the man is jealous of those who did serve in Vietnam because he did not have the balls to do it himself.
What would you say to your other former combat vets, active duty, who still support him to this day, Mike? What would be your advice, or what would you like to say to them?
I would say stand tall and be proud of what you did. You know what you did. We know what we did. And we did the right thing at the right time.
Well, thank you for your service, Mike. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
You got it. Bye. There you go. Right. There you go. But again, nothing to see here, right? It's totally fine. So disgusting. Tally, how are you today?
Pretty good. How are you doing today?
Doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Well, I was just curious about your military service.
Don't have any. Does that matter?
Yeah, it does, actually.
It does? So I can't criticize the president for being a hypocrite?
Well, you're on the same side of hypocrisy as you consider him to be.
I'm on the same side of what?
Hypocrisy.
Yeah, so is it hypocritic? So look at this picture. So this is Bob Mueller.
We're talking about that's fine, but I was questioning
I want you to look at this. No, I want you to look at this
your
picture.
Military history, and you're judging somebody.
I want you to look at this picture, okay? This is Bob Mueller. So look at the picture. You don't have to run away from the conversation. I'm asking you to look at the picture. This is Bob Mueller, who's a decorated Vietnam veteran, combat vet, rescued a fallen comrade, received the Bronze Star and the Purple Heart. And this is Donald Trump, who dodged the draft. And Donald Trump said it was good that this guy died. Do you agree with that?
No, I wish he would have lived longer. He had Parkinson's.
So that, what does that mean?
Oh, you figure that out. Now, are you going to answer my question? We were
again.
I assume you're Gen X like me.
Why does my
I assume
service
you're Gen
matter?
X like me, and we were at war for 20 years, and you had every opportunity to go serve, and now you're judging people.
Yeah, I'm judging the president.
By the way, I did
he's a
serve.
draft
If
dodger.
it was going to be a question.
Great, thank you for your service. But I'm asking you to criticize the president. Can you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way I do about you. He could have went and served.
I'm asking you to criticize the president for saying what he said.
I'm saying I feel the same way I do about you.
No, I'm asking
like why
you
I could ask you the same
sir,
questions.
I'm
Like, why didn't you serve?
I'm asking you to criticize the president for what
Were you
he
too scared?
said. Can you do that?
Were you
Tally,
scared?
can you do it?
Yeah.
Can you do that, please?
Yeah, I
Can
just
you criticize
did.
the president for what he said?
I just did. I just did.
I'd like
I
to
said
hear
I
you
agree
say
with
it.
you. I said I agree with you. He had every opportunity to serve as well, but I don't hear him up here badgering people for not.
He badgers people every single day.
Yeah, but he doesn't badger them for not serving.
He badgers the entire half of the country, calls the left, the radical left, destroyers of our country.
It's because you're a lot of hypocrites. I mean, I don't get it. How you had 20 years to go serve in a war. 20 years. You could have done Afghanistan. You could have done Iraq.
Telly, do you understand why people say people like you are oath-breaking traitors?
No, I don't.
Would you like me to tell you why?
Who says that? Who in the fuck said that to me?
I'm saying it. I think you're an oath-breaking
What oath
traitor.
did I break?
Or did you take an oath to serve your country?
Yeah.
You still support? You voted for Donald Trump?
Did you take an oath to serve your country?
I'm asking you the question, sir.
Yeah, I know,
I'm
but did
asking
you?
the
I said, and
question.
I answered it. Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to
So
tell
did
you why you're an oath-breaking traitor.
Did you
I'm going to
take an
tell
oath?
you. I'm going to tell you why you're an oath-breaking traitor. Okay? You voted for a man who
Somebody who never took an oath is telling me I'm an oath breaker, guys.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to tell you why. You took an oath to the Constitution, did you not?
Yep.
Okay. Did you take an oath to the president?
President's in charge of the military. I do what he says.
No, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. You took an oath to the Constitution.
Yes, the
correct?
Constitution also gives the president the authority of the military.
Right, gotcha. But again, you took an oath to the Constitution, not the president, correct?
Yes.
Got it. So when the president organized a coup to overthrow an election in 2020, which would then be a violation of the Constitution, therefore your vote for him means you violated the oath that you swore to protect.
No.
Yes.
No, you don't get to decide. You never took an oath.
But
your opinion is pointless. Your opinion is absolute zero on this. Zero.
Sir, but you did that though.
But you didn't. I get to decide what my oath was, not you.
I understand.
You don't get to decide what my oath was to me.
You don't get to decide.
If you want to decide what an oath means, go take one.
Sir,
go take
you
one.
don't it's not about whether or not you took it. What I'm saying to you is you took an oath to defend the Constitution. And your
Speaking
vote
to the
for
chat,
Trump
it's not
means
Marbles
that
jumping around in my head. He won't let me talk.
Again, you're not answering questions, sir.
I answered them, and then you immediately ask another one before I could even ask you a question.
I'm explaining to you why you broke your oath.
But you don't get to explain it to me. You didn't take an oath.
Because you don't
find somebody who took an oath and get them to explain it to me.
Fine, no problem. I got you. She took an oath.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Bro, I took an oath.
You a combat veteran?
What percentage of the military sees combat?
Are you a combat veteran?
What percentage of the military sees combat?
Are you a combat veteran?
What percentage of the military sees combat?
Cook, I don't want to hear it from you.
Yeah, of course you don't, because you know I'm right. What is Article 92 of the UCMJ?
Get me a combat
What is
veteran.
Article 92 of the UCMJ?
Get me a combat veteran.
What
I'm not gonna
is
get,
what is Article 92 of the UCMJ?
Look at paperwork all
exactly.
the fucking time.
You're up here with a traitor's treasonous ass. The Constitution does not say that the President of the United States can violate the law. The Constitution does not say that the President of the United States can institute a coup or overtake. It doesn't say that. As a matter of fact, Article 92 only applies to lawful orders. You're full of shit and you know it.
Anything to say, Trader?
Well, I don't know. Are you going to mute me?
It depends.
Well,
are you going to answer the questions? What is Article 92 of the UCMJ?
Well, I'm not sitting here staring at it like you like I think you
well,
know
shit,
it.
You took an oath to it. You don't know it.
Like I sit here and think you're just not looking at the fucking page.
You took an oath to it. You don't know it.
No, I don't know the whole fucking thing.
Well, first you told him that he didn't have an opinion because he didn't take an oath. I took the oath.
Yeah. You know what?
Okay, I took it. My daddy took it. My mama took it. My brothers took it.
We're going to war with Iran, and I hope we put illegals to the front line.
Who gives a shit what you care about illegals?
One of them.
Yeah, you don't know the Constitution, do you? You didn't take an oath to anybody.
Yeah, no,
you took an oath to the Constitution.
Yours mattered more, I'm sure. Yours mattered more.
No, I just know how to take an oath legally.
We get it. You think you're a dude.
And uphold the oath.
This combat veteran here talking all this shit. Yeah.
Yeah, no, because you know I'm correct.
I know that you never did anything.
You don't know what I did. What was your security clearance?
Where were secret?
What?
Secret.
Okay, so mine was TSSCI. I had my secret before I left AIT. So I worked in a SCIF.
Yeah, that's because
the building where the documents the president stole were supposed to be stored.
She's sitting here talking about stuff that she's trying to make it sound important. I had to have my secret clearance too before I got out of fucking AIT too.
No, I got mine before I got out of AIT. At my first duty station is when I had my TSSCI.
My son-in-law just went in. Guess what he's doing? He had to wait on his top secret clearance for his job.
We're not talking about what he had to wait on.
So what are you talking about?
Yeah, so I'm talking about exactly what I'm saying.
Trying to make something sound important that isn't. I had to wait on my secret clearance. I had to wait.
Hang on 1 second, Danny.
So what?
Hang on 1 second. So Tally, Danny is a veteran. Isaac and the proletariat are both combat vets. So your oath, your criticism of Danny unjustified because you're the oath-breaking traitor. You said bring up combat vets.
You would never say that to you would never say that to a veteran's face.
Oh, I sure would if you broke the oath.
No, you wouldn't.
Absolutely, I would.
No, you wouldn't.
Yes, I would.
Well, I'm in Reno, Nevada. Where you at?
They will.
What's up? I will.
We'll do it, bro. What are you talking about?
You are an oathbreaker.
You're an oathbreaker. You're a traitor. You're a traitor.
Tally, what do we swear? What do we swear an oath to, Tally? Let's go back to remedial education.
The Constitution. We're going through this conversation again.
Great.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about what's in the Constitution. Who's granted the power over the military?
Don't crash out yet, kitten. We haven't even gotten there yet. Whose job is it to determine if something is unconstitutional or not per the Constitution?
Supreme Court.
Great. Has the Supreme Court ruled that Trump has violated the Constitution?
Supreme Court ruled he had immunity.
That's not the same question I asked you. That is not the question I asked you.
I'm not fucking answering the question.
No, you did not.
I'm not giving you the answer you want. I'm giving you the answer to
No, that's because you're just giving me your feelings.
The Supreme Court
has the Supreme Court 4 times, including in a 9-0 ruling, violated that the Trump administration has violated the Constitution. Yes or no?
Spoiler alert. The answer is yes.
Tally. Yes or no, oath-breaking traitor. Go ahead, Tally.
You got to mute
that question.
You don't get to mute me and then ask me a question.
Oh, I can mute you anytime I want to if you're going to whine.
In a 9-0 ruling, did the Supreme Court
get your glass chamber in here and let's have everybody sound the same and agree with you? If that's
don't talk to everybody else. I'm talking to you right now. Come on.
Yeah, no, I'm not answering anything you got.
No,
he muted me when you muted me. So your question, I'm not answering.
Stop talking. Stop talking about talking. Answer the question.
No.
No, they didn't rule
that.
No,
you don't get to put me on mute.
Or no, you're not answering.
You can ask me a question, not put me on mute.
I've answered you a question. I've asked you a question. Even since you've been unmuted, I've asked you the same question.
I've answered like 3 fucking questions from you, and you haven't answered a single one from me.
Okay.
You haven't asked me a question. You literally have not asked me a single question for me to answer.
Crow, hang on 1 second. Hang on 1 second. Tally. Crow is going to ask you a question. The expectation that we have is that, he's going to ask you a question. The expectation is you are going to answer the question. Crow, please ask your question again.
Was there a 9-0 ruling that the Trump administration had violated the Constitution?
Yes, but unfortunately it also ruled he had immunity.
So, would that not make them an enemy of the Constitution if they are violating the Constitution?
No.
How?
Because
if they violate the Constitution,
motherfucker, don't ask me a question and then not let me answer. Don't ask fucking questions and not let people answer. The reason it's no is because laws can be interpreted differently. That's why we have lawyers.
We're going to go back in circle now. Whose job is to interpret the Constitution?
I'm not answering it again.
Because it's the Supreme
Because you know
Court.
you're fucking cooked.
Because you have like 2 questions, I answer them, and you just start over again.
You didn't answer either of mine.
You're not recognizing the connections between the questions. If the Supreme Court said
you're not worth my
it's
time,
unconstitutional, it does not matter if Trump thinks it is. It is wholly irrelevant, his interpretation of the Constitution, because the only interpretation that matters is the Supreme Court. Therefore, ipso facto, if you support somebody that violates the Constitution, has been found to violate the Constitution by the Supreme Court, you have violated your oath to defend the Constitution.
Was there a question in?
Good day, trader.
That's just me calling you an oathbreaker. I'm glad you're gone.
So, thank you guys for being here. I want to give you all an opportunity to speak. Crow, thank you. Stay right there. Isaac, please. I'm sure you were. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate that. What would you like to say?
Oh, I just wanted to call him an oathbreaker. That's it. I just want you heard. I mean, he just kept smashing on Danny not being a combat veteran. I don't really care. As a combat veteran, we needed people.
Shit either. Beans,
like
bolts, and
intel.
do my fucking job.
Supply.
Hang on, Crow. Hang on, Crow. Go ahead, Isaac.
We needed support. So that's just stupid. As a veteran, to now shit on people that did those jobs, like that's just like it was fun to joke on that in the military, but like getting out, looking at that, like if you're still doing that, might want to reevaluate your life because that's just embarrassing. We needed every single one of those people. They helped fly me out when I got blown up. They helped take care of me, like docs. And we had intel people, everything. Supply, ammo people.
I just want to point something out, and I want to give Danny a chance to come on. I just want to point something out, MAGA. So Tally Talks, who's still chirping in the chat, is an oath breaker, is a pathetic oath breaking traitor. I am very comfortable saying that. I haven't served, but my friends here have. And I want MAGA to understand something, that you vote alongside that. You vote alongside someone who supports what the president said about a decorated combat veteran. Are you all as big a coward as Tally is? Because Tally had an opportunity to say, you know what the president said was really bad, and I don't support it, and I don't agree with that. And we would have had a fine conversation. He would have gone about his way, but no. Instead, he chose to attack just because I didn't serve. My choice. But Danny did, Isaac did, Crow did, and you said you wanted combat vets because you didn't respect Danny's service enough? Shocker, maybe because she's a woman of color? Maybe just a little bit. That might have snuck in there just a little bit, maybe. So you asked for combat veterans, and we aim to please here, so you get 2. And they both destroyed your lack of character, and that wasn't enough. So instead, what did you do? You just crashed out like the little cuck that you are. Danny, what would you like to say, friend?
Yeah. That type of misogyny and bullshit is exactly what many women in the military still deal with today, right? So Tally is a perfect example of what a lot of women in the military experience on a regular basis. It's why there's an entire classification for SA in the military. When you're a veteran, for service connection, it's called MST, which is military SA trauma, right? So appreciate you, Tally, for being that. For those of you guys who want to know, about 10% of people that are in the military actually see combat. Only about 40% are deployed, even if they don't see combat. And yes, you absolutely do need other people. I was an intel person, right? So I worked in a skiff. The bottom line is this, and Crow and Isaac, get this. You take an oath to the Constitution, not to a person, not to a political party, not to a regime or an agenda. It is literally to the Constitution to protect the country from enemies, both foreign and domestic. And it doesn't matter if they're in the White House. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle they're on. It doesn't matter if they are an enemy to the Constitution. They are the enemy, period. And that's all I got to say about that.
I love you, friend. Thanks for jumping in today.
Love
I appreciate
you
you very, very much. Talk to you later.
Yep, see you later.
Isaac, Crow, final thoughts, final words?
Yeah, this is just for everybody, because every time somebody says, you can't call me an oathbreaker unless you served. No, All they got to be able to do is fucking read. Because the oath of enlistment is very simple. It's I, my name here, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the officers appointed above me. And here's the part they always forget: according to the regulations of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So calling somebody an oathbreaker doesn't require service. It requires the ability to fucking read.
Thank you, Crow. I appreciate you as always, bro. Thanks for your service and thanks for jumping in. Isaac, final thoughts?
Yeah, no, Crow wrapped it up pretty nicely. So did Danny. I just, as someone who has the same awards as Robert Mueller, who is on MAGA panels constantly, they do not care at all. They, in fact, use that. I say that to them like they care, and they use it against me somehow. Like it's amazing how they flip it against me. So just that, like they don't care about veterans. They're actively passing bills or trying to pass bills against veterans. It's just an attack on all ends on everybody. So we knew this would happen. Well, so stay safe.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for your service, sir, very much, and thank you for being who you are. I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for jumping in today.
Appreciate you.
We just witnessed that, and normally I wouldn't let that conversation go because you guys know me, when too many voices, I get a little ADHD triggered, but I think it was really necessary because here we sit, right? The President of the United States, because Robert Mueller, who was assigned to investigate Russian election interference, doing his job, a combat veteran, a decorated combat vet, Purple Heart, Bronze Star, rescued a fellow soldier who was shot, wounded behind enemy lines, and then dragged that person to safety. Our president says, good, I'm glad he's dead. And traitors like Tally feel like I can't judge him because I didn't serve. And then we get Danny, and we get Isaac, and we get Crow showing what true character looks like and what taking an oath to the Constitution actually means. Thank you all for jumping in. Appreciate it. Man, oh man. Poof. Yes, rest in power, Brother Mueller. That's what somebody just said. I like that quote. Got a few more other folks that I think want to talk about the same. Now, Tally, you're done. You're not coming back up. You kidding me? You embarrassed yourself, bro. We know who you are. You're a traitor to your oath, and you can't accept it. That's just who you are. You might want to process that. And you know what, Tally? You may have VA TRICARE. If you didn't, I would still want you to have health care. I really would. I would still want to make sure that there is a strong social safety net in case things go really bad for your family. I really hope that. I really do. I really hope that your life is not consumed by capitalism and you are respected, but you don't seem to care about your fellow combat vets. It's really sad. Harley, how are you today?
So ready to join.
Harley? Okay. Sorry about that. You're the one that's been lied to, Tally. You're the one that bought in on everything that Donald Trump told you. And now you are so far down in the cult that you were criticizing fellow veterans. You were criticizing them. The people that took the exact same oath that you took. You are criticizing them instead of the person who is violating the Constitution every day. You don't get to pick and choose, bro. You don't. You don't get to pick and choose. The President of the United States is FCC, consolidating licenses so they can control the press. Violation of the Constitution. Fifth Amendment rights, 14th Amendment rights, Fourth Amendment rights, First Amendment rights, every single day. Lies about sending your fellow members, service members, people who you perhaps either know or family connections, sent them to their death. 13 military members have lost their life, and you still support the president. If you don't like being called an oath-breaking traitor, maybe you should unpack why people are calling you that. Maybe you should take a moment to say, fuck. Am I going to be remembered as an oath-breaking traitor? Yeah. That's on you. That's not on us. That's on you. And you're not coming back up here. So you're no longer welcome. Jerry, how are you today?
I'm good.
What's on your mind?
I just wanted to comment about your little clip that you played with the interviewer, when she was, in a position to me, ask a lot harder questions.
I agree. Of Scott Bessent?
Yes, that's who it was. And I listened to that, and then I listened to the whole conversation with that other guy that just couldn't swallow his pride and realize that he was wrong.
Correct.
But but that was very clear. So that was genius. I mean, you're just bringing people up at the right time when people. Anyways, I was just going to comment on the interviewer because I feel like she could have come back with, so you think that he was upset about what happened at Mar-a-Lago, so that's why he's making this statement. I mean, she could have honed in on a little more of what the guy actually was talking about to get him to realize that, the emotional age of. Hang on just a second. Here's the keys.
Okay.
Are you staying here?
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Bye. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
So, like me and my daughter talk about the emotional age of the president all the time because everything he does is kind of like a 12-year-old's emotional intelligence. I mean, emotional stability. Like, it's very immature and it's kind of like stuck there. It's never gotten older. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's literally Arrested Development. No doubt about it.
Yeah, so I don't know what or how that could, help people, but I just thought that was interesting when we talked about it and kind of figured it out. We did the same thing with Elon Musk. We figured he's more like 9 or 10 because he's always into rockets and making toys and.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
You can do it with anybody, including yourself, which I have done myself. And, it helps me realize, when I am in the wrong because I'm acting immature,
Because you're an adult.
Because I'm an adult and I realize that I need to grow in certain areas. I need to figure out what, ways I need to grow up in, because that's the only way you grow is you realize what you need to realize when people either tell you or you just realize it on your own.
You're right. Thanks for jumping in today, Jerry. I appreciate that. Thanks for being here. Have a good day. Be safe out there. It's just an interesting exercise. Somebody said this, that he was pissed at me because I didn't serve, but yet he votes for and supports this guy. Like, I'm going to square that? Yeah. It's tough. I wouldn't want to be recognized as somebody who supports a draft dodging traitor. Good morning. What's the word? How are you today?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me back up here.
You got it. What's on your mind?
I'm an educator and,
thank you.
No, of course. And in specific, I'm a special educator. And I work with kids who have, behavioral emotional trauma disorders. And what I tell them all the time is you can go through the most difficult experience, but it's what you do with that difficult experience to bring others up and bring positivity, because you have a outlook, an experience that no one else will experience. So what I found interesting about Tally, and I'll call him an oath breaker, and I've never served, but what Crow said was powerful. All you have to know how to do is read. And I tell my kids that. I say, before you say something that you might want to walk back on, make sure you read. Make sure you understand what you're saying. And I found it interesting that he had 3 people, Danny, who just so eloquently spoke, Crow, who just powerfully spoke, and Isaac, whose names I all remember, who shared his experiences, having similar backgrounds to Robert, and for Talley to come up there and just argue about nothing shows that his inability to kind of connect with factual information, to connect with his own emotions, is what supports our president right now. And it's unfortunate because Manny Man, who keeps on bringing up the fingernails, I want to point it out to you. You, this entire time, and I've been watching your chat and your little comments, have brought up the fingernail polish maybe 18 times. You were told never believe a man who paints his fingernails. I preach that you should never believe a man who's a hypocrite and a liar. Yet here you are. But anyways, now that he can have his little fingernail polish rant understood and read out, it's interesting because if I'm teaching my kids, I say, what's 2 + 2? And I'll draw them 2 apples. And I say, okay, let's put 2 more on the table. And then how many apples we got? 4. Okay. You can't, that's factual. I can't make that 5 unless I add another apple. I can't have 6 unless I add 2 more. It's interesting the mental gymnastics these people play, because in the time it takes to make justification for utter BS, the time it takes to justify just the foul personalities and rhetoric that this MAGA cult shares, it's exhausting for me, for you, for anyone that is a human being to have to follow along. And it gets to a point of where along the road did you take the wrong turn where you can't even look at the actual fact presented to you? If you're going to tell me my sources, trust me, bro, I'm not going to trust you. Let me tell you that much. And if I tell you 2 + 2 = 4 and I give you all the evidence to show it, how are you going to tell me otherwise? And somehow these MAGA people this cult has found a way to say 2 + 2 = 6 because the 2 was underneath a line and the plus was maybe diagonal. The 2 was maybe written with a little bit of this and that in it. And it's horrifying because 2 will be the number. The addition sign will say the addition sign. And all I did was add another 2. But somehow, because the 2 is a little crooked, the addition sign's a little close enough on a multiplication sign, but not really. And then another 2 is beneath where it's not even with the other 2. It's okay. Okay. It took you 20 minutes to figure that excuse out.
Yeah, I mean, it's the constant moving of the goalpost, friend. But I appreciate you jumping in today, and thank you for being an educator, in particular for being a special educator, for the work that you do.
Thank you so much for having me up here, and thank you for. And someone said, and I just want to point it out earlier, there was this person in the chat called Runner. She said, imagine supporting a white male who to speak on behalf of colored people. I'm a woman of color, and I am very, very blessed to have someone like you speaking on my behalf, having the audience, taking the time to educate those. So I just want to point out to anyone who feels that because a white man is speaking on behalf of the oppressed, I'm 100% in support of it because not everyone has the platform to do so. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you for saying that. I really appreciate that, friend. Thanks for being here today. Have a good day.
Of course. Thank you.
Yeah. These conversations as we start the show, we never know. I didn't expect to leave this up in my background, but it's obviously effective because the point we're trying to make here is the constant hypocrisy, the constant just like, the patriarchy showing up, cannot defend, ironically enough, the defense of someone who they would normally deem as beta, right? But yet you'll criticize the guy who is the epitome of the alpha, right? Again, the combat war veteran, Bronze Star, Purple Heart recipient, dragged a fellow brother in arms who was across enemy lines, wounded, dragged him back to safety, and then went, after he recovered from his wounds, went back and served again. A true patriot. And because of the patriarchy and misogyny and all the fucking layers connected to it, because the president of the United States, who was without question one of the weakest, most mediocre on his best day humans who ever walked the planet, he somehow gathers this level of loyalty that I have never seen in my life. And Telly, who took the oath to defend the Constitution, not the office, not the person, the Constitution, so indoctrinated into this, pro-alpha, patriarch, misogynistic, anti-humanity movement that you are so blind that you can't even see it. And you're going to go down, this live's recorded. You're going to be on the record criticizing people who challenged you. And to Crow's point, no, I didn't serve, but I can read. I understand words. I get context. I know what your oath is supposed to mean. And what you're telling your other members of the military who align with you is that your oath doesn't matter to them either. What happened to you, man? What happened to you? What happened? Weird. Red Flower, how are you today?
I'm sorry. I'm good. I just got a maintenance man to enter my house, so I'm going to have to drop down. I just wanted to say real quick, as also a combat vet during Desert Storm, I just don't understand the logic. Thank you. I don't understand the logic or the mentality behind these people like Tally. I just cannot. The only thing that I can boil it down to, seriously, as a woman of color, is racism. Period. Point blank. That's the bottom line to it. And thank you, Steve, for everything you do every day. I appreciate you. All right. Have a good one.
I appreciate you more. Do the same. Be safe out there. Yeah, right? I mean, what else is there to say? I'm gonna bring Jen back up. She's gold. She's a mom of active duty. Hi.
Yeah.
How are you? Again.
I'm sorry. I had to come back up because I wanted to tell you clinically when I was listening to him, and I'm not a doctor and I'm not diagnosing, but that is some serious psychopathy. When he said to you, I wish he had lived longer, he had Parkinson's, he was literally advocating for the suffering of another human being.
Correct. I heard that too.
That was so vile. I couldn't, that is what we're talking about with, they lack humanity, just grotesque. And so, that made me so angry, especially as somebody who was said they serving or served. Sir, you need to turn in your uniform. One of the reasons that my son got married so quickly is because he's probably going to be deployed in October. They said they got to give up 33 men and women in October, and he's the lowest man on the totem pole right now. So to hear that, I can't. It's ridiculous. So anyways.
Thank you. I appreciate you again. Thanks for being here. I love you, friend. Talk to you later.
You too.
All right, bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye. I think I might have mentioned this if I didn't. BLP, thank you for your kindness. Your support of our channel here is great. Thank you. You said that my voice matters. Yours does too. I appreciate your kindness. Thank you very much. again, like I just said, we never know how these conversations are going to go, right? But here we sit. And I guess the question then would be like, if you're gonna choose, you're gonna give people an example, right? Without taking the names away, and you want somebody to describe how we want the American military viewed, right? Take the name away. Would you do you recognize a person with his rifle in Vietnam, again, a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart recipient? Isn't that the kind of person that you would idolize? Right? And the thing is, with MAGA people like Tally, if they didn't know this was Robert Mueller, they'd be like, that guy's a badass. And if you didn't know that this was Donald Trump, all you would do would be mock him for dodging the draft and getting a participation trophy and then lying about a medical condition. By the way, Tally, I don't know if you know this, but again, because I read, the building that the podiatrist worked in that gave Donald Trump a pass because of bone spurs, do you know who owned that building, Tally? That would be Donald Trump's dad. You understand that? So when we tell you, when combat veterans tell you, when Danny, who could run circles around you when it comes to military experience and understanding and knowledge, could literally lap you before you even took a fucking step. When they're all up here telling you what their oath means, the same oath that you took, and you can't listen to them. Instead, you'll believe the lies coming from the person that you voted for. It's a tough love moment, Tally. It's a tough love moment. This is why I tell you confidently, even though I have not served, but I'm smart and I understand words and I know what they're intended to mean. You made a conscious decision to continue to support someone who literally attempted to violate the Constitution on January 6th. And then the numerous anti-constitutional things that he's done. The Supreme Court rules against him, that what you are doing is unconstitutional, violating the rights of American citizens every single day, and you still support him. That is why we say the MAGA movement is a cult that includes all kinds of things: racism, bigotry, 10 toes down support of the patriarchy, anti-woman, anti-immigrant, anti-marginalized. Here it is. It's on full display right now. And you came up here and then you left with your tail between your legs, but you probably think that you own the libs. I went up and called out that draft dodging, nail polish wearing liberal. No, man. You exposed yourself. You exposed yourself. That's what you did. You showed 2,000 people how far you have fallen. How far you have fallen. Nothing that I did. To be honest, nothing that Crow or Isaac or Danny did either. It was you. It was you that did it. It was you. It's unfortunate. Didn't have to be that way. That's a choice that you made. And you're going to have to live with it. And I hope that you, well, if you have kids, it's someday there's going to be the reckoning. They're going to find the MAGA hat that you tried to hide in your closet or in your basement. Maybe a box of flags, box of Trump stickers. Maybe you've got the gold card. Maybe you're going to go out and buy the commemorative coin. And you're going to have to answer those questions someday. And what are you going to do? Are you going to be honest and say, oh, yeah, I supported him no matter what? Or are you going to try to say, I would have never supported that. I was a veteran. I never would have supported that. Okay. Hello, Blue Dot. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm all right. What's on your mind?
I don't know if you spoke on this yet, but the UN every year meets in New York to discuss women's rights globally. And the US was the only country that voted no against women's rights. Not Iran, the US.
Right. Correct. Seeing that. Yep. That's where we sit. That's where we sit. I know.
That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Have a good day.
Have a great
Be safe
day.
out there. Again, just back to this exercise. Is it such a stretch? And I'm sure Tally was one of those people who was absolutely so fucking angry that people were celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. And to be honest, anybody who celebrated that, shame on you. I never celebrated it. I can honestly say that Charlie Kirk is was a despicable, horrible, disgusting, inhumane individual. No doubt about it. And he did not deserve his life lose his life because of his views. My opinion alone. But the president of the United States using his social media platform to say, good riddance, I'm glad that this guy died. Okay. That's fine. Nothing to see here. Hey, Drew.
Good morning, Steve.
Wild Monday. Whew.
Oh my goodness, man. You can't get my blood boiling this early on a Monday, dude. It's just too early.
I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. I hear you.
It has become, I mean, to me, it's been painfully obvious the whole time, but it has become painfully obvious that our troops, our military members, are nothing more than props to conservatives. They always, they put them on their shirts. I respect the troops. I support the troops. I do this and that. And they use that fake patriotism throughout everything they do. But we see it time and time again. We see Trump himself standing in front of the nation and saying, all right, well, some of you may unalive, but I'm cool with that. You got Lindsey fucking Graham. Sorry, but Lindsey Graham.
Why did you fucking apologize?
I don't know. Fuck him. All right. Going on TV and saying, well, we did it in Iwo Jima. Lindsey, we lost 7,000 American service members. There were roughly 21,000 that were injured and scarred for life. Physically, mentally, you name it. Okay? And here's another number that Lindsey does not care about, nor do any of the other conservatives care about. 21,000 Japanese died on Iwo Jima.
Mm-hmm.
21,000. Just like they don't care right now how many Iranians are dying. Doesn't matter to them. That's not a number they factor in. Our service people are props for them. You see it when Trump goes to what's the name? He goes to honor, supposedly, I'm putting this in quotes, to honor our fallen, wearing a campaign hat.
Dignified transfer.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Couldn't think of the word. And uses that picture to fundraise. What is he raising money for? He can't run anymore. What's he raising money for? But he's using that picture as a fundraiser. Mm-hmm. We've seen him take pictures at Arlington National Cemetery and use that as a fundraiser. The right does not care about our troops. They use them as props. Now, like you, I did not serve. I have the utmost respect. I don't care if you spent 4 years mopping bathrooms as a member of the military. I respect your service. You joined up with the purpose of wanting to help our country. I have the utmost respect for you. Even Tally. Tally, thank you for your service, sir. We appreciate what you did. But it goes to show that they do not truly respect veterans because they move the goalposts. Tally came up yelling at you because you didn't serve. As an American, I'm not less of an American because I didn't serve. I'm not any less of an American. I have my right to speak out as an American. Okay? But it's interesting that you brought up Danny, who again, I have the utmost respect for her intellect, her service, everything she does. She's an amazing woman. And she came up there and in the face of ignorance and stupidity, held her ground. She didn't flinch. She didn't start getting upset. She didn't, he got emotional. She was so tough and strong. And, oh, wait a minute. She didn't serve in combat, so she's not really a veteran. That's where he went with that. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. That shows that the right has no respect for our military. Oh, okay, well, we respect our veterans. Okay, well, you're not a combat veteran? Well, okay, maybe not you so much. Oh, you got captured? Okay, well, you're just a loser. Sure, you fought in combat, but you got captured. You're a loser. Oh, you died? Oh, you're a loser. It's just we have to start seeing through it, and I hope that people start seeing through it because it's all performative. You and I care about our veterans because we want them to have health care. We want them to have the mental health resources that they need when they get home. We want them to have jobs, education. We want the best for them. Holding someone accountable for what they do during their military service isn't disrespecting the troops. That's the utmost respect for our troops because we're holding them to that standard. You see Pete going up there in front of everybody saying, oh, you criticize the war. Well, we're not criticizing your pilots. Your pilots are amazing. We're not criticizing your troops. Your troops are amazing. What we're criticizing is the way that you are using them, sir. You can comment on the war without insulting our military vets. They're not tied together. I respect everything our guys are doing over there. I don't respect the fact that we're over there.
I agree. Thanks for jumping in today, Drew. I appreciate your perspective on that, sir. Thanks a lot for being here.
Take care.
You too. I mean, he's right. I mean, I'm not going to go as so far to thank Tally for his service because of what he's become. I appreciate when he put his hand up to take the oath, but now you've sort of lost it. So I'm just going to take a quick break real quick. And I just want to, because again, we've got a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do, and that involves staying focused, staying loud, letting your voice be heard. So I figured, great time to play this. With something honest. A lot of people in this country are tired. Not just busy tired. I mean soul tired. Tired of working hard and still feeling like they're falling behind. Tired of watching the news and feeling powerless. Tired of hearing promises every election season and then watching nothing change. And if you ever felt like your vote doesn't matter, like your voice doesn't count, I want you to know something. You're not alone, and you're not wrong for feeling that way. Because when you feel ignored long enough, you stop believing anyone is listening. And when you stop believing anyone is listening, you stop showing up. But here's what I've learned in my life. The moment that good people stop showing up is the moment the wrong people take over the room. That's why I'm launching something called the Do Something Tour. Not because I think I have the answers, not because I'm here to tell anyone what to think, but because I believe we're losing something precious in this country, and that's our faith in each other. I'm going to travel the country to sit down with people who feel forgotten, people who feel dismissed, people who feel like the system is built for someone else. And I'm going to listen. I want to hear what broke your trust. I want to hear what you've lived through. I want to hear what you wish the people in power actually understood about your life. Because the truth is, democracy is not a speech. It's not a slogan. It's not something that happens once every 4 years. Democracy is people. It's parents trying to keep their kids safe. It's workers trying to keep food on the table. It's communities trying to stay whole. It's people who don't want to be a headline. They just want to be okay. And I know this. If we want change, we can't just hope for it. We have to participate in it. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm not asking you to know every issue. I'm not asking you to trust politicians. I'm asking you to trust your own worth. To remember that your voice matters, even if it's been ignored. To remember that your vote matters, even if it hasn't felt like it has. And to remember that your presence matters, because this country belongs to you, too. So this is my invitation. Come back in, not because the system deserves you, but because your community does. Your kids do. Your future does. This is the Do Something Tour. If you've ever felt powerless, I want you to hear me clearly. You still have power. So, let's do something. Together. So that's what we're doing. And again, remember, there are people out there who just don't seem to give a shit. And we do. So we have to lean in extra hard. Good morning, my friend. How are you today?
Good morning, Steve, buddy. How are you, man?
I'm exceptional. Yourself?
Good. I'm doing really well. Your chat's doing well. Great show. I just wanted to say that was a great, thing you put together there, because this is such hard work, man. I appreciate what you do so much. You know, I don't think people often, and I know your chat is incredibly bright, which you say all the time, and you're right about that. Only because I'm in it right now, so I want to include myself in that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just I'm here, so I want to be like, yes, we're all brilliant. But but I'm telling you, man, I don't know a lot, like people that are on the perimeter of showbiz and they don't really get it. You know, when you leave here, man, you got to listen to all these lunatics for us, and you have to create this content, and it's really, really hard. And I appreciate you so much. And the tour is amazing, and people should look into that. That freaking tallywhacker guy, man, he was really freaking me out. It was weird because I just said to Zoe, because Zoe just made me laugh, which is really cool on a Monday morning. Because I said to her, I said, dude, I looked at Zoe and I was like, I swear to God, if I didn't have to operate heavy machinery in an hour, I would take a Xanax right now. Like, cause
well, thank you for choosing making the right choice, Tom. Appreciate that.
And then
appreciate that.
Then you know what Zoe says to me? She's like, "Are you calling me fat?" And I'm like, "What?"
Not heavy machinery.
She is not heavy machinery. I'm like, I did not. That was not when I said that. I wasn't trying to. Oh my God!
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. I love you, bro, and I love what you're doing. And
love you too.
I look forward to hopefully seeing you one day in person.
You will indeed. I'll talk to you later this week, friend.
All right, brother. You be well, man. All right, man.
You do the same. Take care. All right, bye. We could spend time talking about that all day, every day. But I just, to me, I always kind of revert back to the human side of this thing, right? People like Tally have made that conscious choice to abandon things that they said that they believed in. They literally have abandoned it. Why? But why? Like, why make that choice? There's no reason. You don't have to debase yourself. You are choosing that path now. You could have easily stepped away and said, you know what, I'm not even going to comment. But instead, you want to request up. You get triggered by a dude who's got nail varnish on. You get bothered by getting called out by veterans and non-veterans. And here you sit. Thank you for joining me this morning, friend. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to say that as a professional in the beauty industry, your nail varnish, which I haven't heard anyone call it in a very long time, is absolutely stunning. I've always referred to it as polish. Varnishes, though, it's something about that that's just, I don't know. I don't think I've heard someone call it that in a minute. Steve, I love it. Did you tell Tom that you're coming to our city? Because we're very excited to receive you.
Tom knows that I'm coming to your city. Is it your city? Wait a minute. He said
my city.
He said it was his city.
Well, that's cute.
You're saying it's yours.
Not. It's mine. Let's be so for real.
I'm not going to get in the middle. I'm not going to get in the middle of that.
I'm going to remind everyone in this entire live, whether you know me or not, when you talk about No Kings 2026, I'm the girl that made the Discord so we all could communicate for them to come to my city, because they're all really just coming to see me. Let's be super clear about this.
That is true. That is true. And I'll just go wherever you tell me. I don't want to be like, listen, I don't let the parents can fight. I just want to know who's getting the fine china. You guys can figure that shit out.
Listen, Tom can do more pull-ups than I can do, so he can own a part of the city. We'll share.
Tom can do more pull-ups than most of us. That's for sure.
This is true. This is true.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, did you hear also what happened in our city last night?
I did not.
We had a plane crash with a fire truck on the runway at LaGuardia Airport.
Oh, that I heard. Is that why LaGuardia was closed this morning?
That's why LaGuardia is closed. It was crazy. And the first publication to report on it was the New York Post. And I am a Jewish woman. I want to make this clear before I make this statement, which seems irrelevant, right? Yes, it is very irrelevant. The first thing the New York Post, which is a gossip rag in New York, commented on was the fact that the plane was occupied by some Orthodox Jewish people.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, was that relevant to an airplane crash for some reason? I mean, I didn't even know it was Air Canada before the New York Post told me it had Orthodox Jewish people flying back to New York. And I'm just like, this is the sensationalism of our media with gossip rags in Trump's America in 2026. We are just, whatever we can do, we do, you know. And I want to be clear to those listening too. I'm pro-Pally, even though I'm Jewish. I have to make that known. I am not pro-Israel. I'm sorry, but it seemed very odd and weird, and I thought it was strange. I see people in the comments, what the fuck? I don't know why. I can't explain it. When I read it out loud, I was like, is this a joke? But yeah. How many hours are we into the nuclear threat from Trump to Iran, by the way?
It's hard to keep it straight. I forget which Armageddon calendar I should refer to. I can't keep them straight anymore.
Maybe it's in the Trump Bible.
Oh, that's probably where it is. Yeah, it's day 32nd of February. That's when it's coming out. Yes, we'll get it.
I remember it being on page 6972, abstemious cover up us. Abstemious cover up us. You know, that's the parable where it will tell us where this is happening.
It's right after the page where you can get all your coupons to get your 10% off on the new Trump Bible. So that's coming out next year because it's not a grift at all. It's not a grift at all. No, it's not a grift.
I know. It's never a grift. It's never a grift like Steve. It's never a grift like how he got patents and copyrights on all the 250th anniversary through Trump. What is it? Did you hear about that? On golf balls and bags and shirts.
If you're concerned, I don't want you to worry.
Yes.
Because they're minting these new coins. So I don't want you to worry about gas prices or the economy in the shitter or whatever else. I don't want you to worry because you can get your commemorative coin very soon.
Thank God. I'm so excited for my coin. I can't wait to have that really cursed image in my hand on a regular basis. So excited.
You too can use it to level up your coffee table or your kitchen table or your couch. You know, you can slide the coin right under. Even then, it's probably be out of whack. But anywho,
Steve, I can't wait to buy it because I want to keep winning. You know, we just keep winning. We're just winning so badly.
So much winning.
Anyway,
we're so much winning. Listen, I love you. I'll see you this weekend.
I will see you this weekend. Thank you, Steve.
Okay, all right. Bye. Yeah. So I have to wrap. I do have to get some prep for a meeting I have coming up at 11. Listen, one of those days, I'm sorry I didn't get to folks. We'll continue our conversation tomorrow. We've got more to unpack because we are now leading. Again, the headline of this is the most important thing, I think, is what we're here talking about today is this, that the radical religious extremists who pose an imminent threat are in our cabinet. They are. They're in our cabinet. So again, programming note, any little bit early today. Thursday, I might have a couple of complications when it comes to some meetings in the morning, but I don't know. I'll let you know over the course of the week. No show to start Friday, although I might go live when I land in New York. So depending on that goes, but we'll be back here tomorrow. Danny is live. Please go tell her, please thank her for her service and please thank her for joining us today. Thank you, Crow. Thank you, Isaac, for coming up. Thank all of you. We have the smartest chat on TikTok, no doubt about it, and the best mods in the business. So we'll see you tomorrow morning, 8:00 Eastern time. Please go raid Danny. Tell her we said hello and tell her how much we love her. I love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 8:00. Until then, friends, there's